The 100th episode of Old Fashioned Football on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sport betting research platform for parlays, props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hufbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by the Hockey Gambling Podcast's brand new YouTube page. The Hockey Guys are giving away a hoodie to celebrate their new YouTube channel. Register today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/HGP.
Hey, what's up? This is Sam Macho, and you're listening to Old Fashioned Football.
Old Fashioned Football.
Make this deal right now, you pancake eating mother.
All right, deal.
Old Fashioned Football.
Welcome to Old Fashioned Football. It's one of those days where you think your computer's going to crash at the worst time because it's our 100th episode party, and we are ready to party. Before I keep going, first of all, if you're wondering who you listen to, this is J-Mark. You can find me on the X at J-Mark Football, and if you're wondering who us is, it's at Old Fashioned FB. It's our 100th episode. I got to bring in for the 100th time my co-host on the pod and in life. Maybe not 100th time. You might have missed a couple here and there, but that's okay. You can find her on Twitter at the Mark. How you doing today?
Doing great, but you bring me in and then you diss me right away. Oh, you might have missed. This isn't really your 100th episode.
Well, it's our 100th episode. It has been a
is.
team effort all the way. Every one that you have missed, you've still given me info to talk about. So that is great because we all know everybody wants your opinion. Can you believe we've made it 100 episodes?
This is crazy.
It is crazy.
You'll have to forgive my voice too. It's like going out. I feel fine. This happened at work today too. I've been on the phone all day and it's leaving me and it's starting again.
She's been partying all day. Don't let her
all day,
fool you.
Just celebrating, sitting
day.
at my desk, throwing back shots of whiskey. That would be horrible. I would not be here.
That's true. Shout out to the chat already. Juke _72 says cheers.
Yes,
And Primetime
cheers.
Fantasy, congrats on 100. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. We're ready to have some fun. We're going to have some guests on. Do you want to talk a little bit about the whiskey that we're doing here?
Yes, so we have been teasing everybody about this, that we are going to bring out our 100 proof, some of our bottled and bonds, and do blind tasting and reviews.
Now I brought 10 of them out.
Yeah, you did. Okay, so I get off work today. I go into the kitchen and you have 10 bottles of whiskey lined up and you have 10 little shot glasses out. And I was like, whoa, Justin, I can't do this on the show. What is wrong with you? We compromised and we came down to 7. And we selected, if we had 100 proof from guest distillers who have been on the show, we absolutely selected those.
Yes.
And
we have one bonus one.
So we are drinking Uncle Nearest's 1856 Uncle Nearest Rye, 2 bars straight bourbon whiskey.
They're bottled and bond straight.
Bottled and bond. Sorry, I messed that up. And then we are drinking the bottled and bond American malt whiskey, which is the collab from the Foundry located here in Des Moines.
Yes.
It's a collab between them and Boulevard Brewing as part of their as part of the Foundry's Brewer Distiller Alliance series.
Yes.
And then, of course, we have Savage & Cook's cask finished bourbon, which is finished in a Cabernet. And then Savage & Cook's cask finished rye, which is Grenache finished. And our bonus one has not been on the show yet, but they are coming very soon.
Yeah.
On the 13th?
February 13th.
February 13th, yes. That will be Balcones pot distilled rye whiskey. So again, these are all of our 100 proofs for our 100th episode. I poured Justin, so we have 1 through 7 here.
Yeah.
We're each going to taste one. I had to organize this. You had a good idea, Justin, but you were not quite.
Didn't have the organization that you wanted.
No. So we'll both drink our one. I know what your one is. You know what my one is. And at the end of the show, we'll kind of rank them
I lost my paper that says where your one is, but I
Are
will
you
find
kidding
it.
me?
It's in my pocket, I think.
All right.
I went ahead and got dressed in the sport coat that doesn't really fit as well as I would hope, but it's on anyways. Got it over the Old Fashioned Football t-shirt. Make sure you go get that. We have hoodies out there now, but they're getting ready to be revamped a little bit. So if you like how they look now, grab them now, because pretty soon Jake, the merch god, is going to revamp them. Shout out to the chat. Mark 57, pretty snazzy dude. That is my father. Congratulations from my mother. Been supporters since day one.
Mm-hmm.
Miranda, did you ever think we'd be doing a podcast?
No. I actually, when we piloted this, I did the pilot with you.
Yes,
The name of the show came from me.
it did.
And I just
100%
really was
credit to
pushing you
you.
to do it.
Yes.
I never intended to do it with you, but I'm glad I'm here.
So she said, that's how she explains our marriage.
Never intended to
Never
do this
intended
with
to
him.
do it with you, but now we're here. So what can you do? We're going to have guests on. We're going to be talking about our whiskey. We're going to talk a little bit about worst and best fantasy football calls. They weren't all bad. We both had some good ones, I feel like.
Mhm.
We have some videos to roll from guests that we've had on the show. We've had some amazing guests.
That's probably been one of the highlights of doing this podcast. Not
100%.
only like the networking and like meeting all the people in the fantasy world, like fantasy football world, whatever you want to call it, but bringing on distillers from all over the country and learning from them and getting to talk with them. We always have such a good time, and that has been not even just distillers, just any of our guests.
Unbelievable. And some of the guests that we're going to have on, like we already have two gents backstage that will be coming on in a bit here. They've both been on the show before, and they're both a riot. And we have a show with them next week too.
We do.
So make sure you come back next week. If it's your first time tuning in, make sure you come back next week, because they're going to be on the show again. But I mean, if you just think about the people we've talked to, like our first guest had to postpone. So technically our first guest was Colby Dant. He was not intended to be the first guest, but that's how it worked out. And we had made this big deal about how we have a big surprise guest coming on and all that. And he's like, I'm the surprise guest, I guess. But that was Sam Acho, of course. You saw him at the intro there, and he was incredible to talk to. He was inspiring. And also in our recap video, we will be playing never before seen footage from that interview.
Some of the off-air conversations.
Yes, because we just kept it recording, because it's Sam Acho. Of course you keep it recording for every conversation you have with him. Miranda, before we take a little break here and bring on our first guest, why don't you tell me your best fantasy football call of the year, or one of them? I'm not limiting you to
this
one.
is my best.
This is
the best. Well, I guess I wasn't spot on, but it was better than I could have imagined.
Yes.
It is Sam Laporta. He finished as tight end 1. Preseason, like when we were at the Fantasy Football Expo, I was saying that Sam Laporta is a future tight end 1 for fantasy football. And I grabbed him in all the leagues that I could, in all of our keeper leagues that I could grab him in. I got him because I was planning for the future. I didn't think he was going to be tight end 1 this year.
You didn't know how soon that future was.
So that was extra rewarding, because I just got to throw him in right away, and he helped me out a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to say my best call, or one of them anyways, before the season even started. We know even from the draft, I was so out on Bryce Young and so in on CJ Stroud. And then the way that the Texans spent their pick on CJ Stroud, turned around, got a defensive player to make sure that defense supports their offense. I said that he's a guy that you might want to pick up right now. Don't wait until he's good. Pick him up now. And he had a phenomenal season. He's coming down to the Rookie of the Year with Puka Nacua. I think CJ Stroud gets it. It's hard for a receiver or running back to get those rewards. They normally go to a quarterback. If he wins this Sunday, the Texans are in the playoffs. And he had an amazing season. So that's when I felt like I could pat myself on the back for. We'll get to our worst calls later. But before we do, I just wanted to let you know that we're brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is amazing because it's so quick to set your entry. You can combine sports. You want to get a little basketball going, a little football. You can do that. Heck, you could throw a little hockey in there, because hockey is coming up. And it's not coming up. It's going right now. But with football running out, now is when I start looking at hockey. Like, maybe I can win a little money on some hockey. And one of the things I love about Prize Picks is they have a reboot policy. No more your player gets injured and your entry is just hosed. Now you can they reboot your player so you could still win money. Another thing I love about them, you don't have to hit all 5 picks in your entry. Sometimes you can hit your little flex play and you only need to hit 3 or 4 to win money. 5 pays more, of course, but that's always good. And I was looking at Prize Picks today and I saw some that I just loved based on the narrative of what's going on. So like I said, Texans, CJ Stroud has to get into the playoffs. They need to win. So I'm going to say more than 257.5 passing yards. Jordan Love, the Bears can ruin the Packers season. What's going to be better for the Bears if they do that? Nothing. Jordan Love, less than 245.5 pass yards. George Pickens has looked good with Mason Rudolph, more than 56.5 receiving yards going against Ravens backups. Nico Collins, CJ Stroud's favorite guy, more than 72.5 receiving yards. And then Devin Singletary, he does need 168 yards rush and receiving either for a bonus. I don't think he gets there, but I do think he plays his ass off. More than 61.5 rushing yards. Go to prizepicks.com/SGPN and use code SGPN for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/SGPN, code SGPN. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
The Hockey Gambling Podcast has just launched their new YouTube channel, and they are giving away a Hockey Gambling Podcast hoodie to celebrate. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/HGP to enter. Again, that's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/HGP.
All right. Do you want to bring our first guest in? Because we have 2 of our guests. Our first 2 guests have been sitting backstage since the beginning. They are early, which is very opposite of us. We're normally late. We did start the show
started on time.
We did.
I made sure of it. I got off work early. Well, not early. I still work late, but I got off work on time.
Yes. Josiah says, woo. Your mom says 100. And Nick Fortune. Cheers, Nick. He will be on in a little bit. But yeah, go ahead. Introduce our first guest.
Yes, our first guest. You can find him on the X at Husker_Zeeb. He is probably my number 1 fan. Maybe.
I think I'm your number 1 fan.
He is the co-host of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, and he is the winner of the Keeper's Heart Bowl, which is our listener league. Welcome to the show, Cody Zeeb.
What's up, guys? I changed my name to be appropriate. Keeper's Heart Bowl champion. I am your number 1 fan, Miranda. So sorry, Justin, but you can be second place. It's okay.
All right, fair enough. When it comes to fantasy football advice, because I take my own first. Speaking of
your advice, Justin was corrected last week. So
let's we're getting into this right away. I was correct though. He was saying how that game was going to be low scoring. He didn't suggest starting Joe Flacco.
Yeah, that's true. I did not think he was. I thought it was going to be low scoring.
1 point difference. 1 point difference.
They had like a 1 point difference. I thought it was going to be a low scoring game. The Browns and Jets both have good defenses, and then we're texting each other after that game starts because it's like score. It's like, what is happening?
I was loving it.
I was
I'm not
beating
gonna lie.
myself up that whole weekend.
However, Cody, I will say I was still rooting for Kyler Murray for you to get some points.
Thank you. I still lost, so it doesn't really matter. But
well. See, that 1 point didn't help you anyway.
It didn't.
So.
Yeah, I know. After Flacco had such a good game, I was like, shit. I gave the total wrong advice, and then after the first half of the Cardinals game, I was like double shit because
that's when Miranda's texting. She
I know.
She's
I
like,
should have just held back.
What lesson did we learn here, boys?
Yep, jinxed it. You jinxed it.
I did.
Which is
it's a good thing I texted that.
Because
if I hadn't have jumped in there.
All right, so here's what I think we should do next. We're going to try our number 1s or start to.
We better.
Well, Cody gives us his.
Cheers to
oh, yeah.
By the way.
Cheers.
These little mini.
Yeah, we'll start with what's your favorite whiskey?
Oh, boy.
Beer?
Not a beer. Miller Lite is my favorite whiskey. No, I don't. Jack Daniels, we'll go with that. That's what I have. So. I don't know. I like whiskeys. I like trying different stuff. I'm not a big whiskey connoisseur, but
sure,
whiskey's good.
Well, one of the whiskeys we're having, the 2-bar bottled and bond, we had on our show thanks to you because you work for their distributor, right?
Yeah. I work for a beer distributor in my day job, and that's one of them that we distribute. So yeah, hooked you guys up, and that was I love every episode of you guys' show, but that was a great one as far as like just laughing so
Oh my
hard
gosh.
the entire show. He was hilarious.
He was
And
funny.
Yes.
it was, that was a really good one.
Yeah, Nathan Kaiser. And he called me or he said I sounded like an 80-year-old smoking grandma at one point. If you missed that, he was not insulting me. It was all in fun. So go check it out.
That's like an evergreen episode too. Like you can go back and listen to that at any point.
Yeah,
There was no
100%.
football talk or anything anyways. So
Yeah, no.
all
He
whiskey
actually-
was great.
He actually said they had to kick him out of Texas because he does not follow football. So, why don't you tell us your best and your worst fantasy football calls of the year? Because you're in like 75 leagues, so I feel like in
No,
some of the leagues,
How many leagues
It's
are
like-
you in?
I think it's
4?
like 55. It's something like
Oh.
that.
And does that count the
Somewhere in
new one you just started?
Well, no, that's next year. So that doesn't count for this year.
Well, no.
How many before you get into this, I know you just asked them these questions,
Yeah.
but
No, you're good.
how many championships did you win out of those?
So I did win the most important one, the Keeper's Heart Bowl. Oh man, like my best fantasy season overall, the championship weekend was not great to me. So I think I made 10 championship games, but I think I only won half of them. So I won 5, which is still pretty decent, and like 5 championships. But when you're in 55 leagues, it's but it's a lot of leagues in different stages. I got some rebuilding, some orphan dynasties, all kinds of stuff all over.
But you went to the playoffs in over half of them. From what
I
Justin
did.
told me.
I went to the playoffs in a lot of them. The first week of the playoffs was not kind to me. Luckily, I had to buy in some of the leagues to carry me through. But it was my most successful fantasy season, so I was happy about that.
Very cool.
Okay, so as far as most successful, so honestly, I play a lot of Superflex leagues. Joe Flacco, probably my most successful pickup, because with the way that quarterbacks, I think that's what makes Superflex so much fun too, is like we were at 59 or 60 different starting quarterbacks this season. So you're constantly like looking for quarterbacks. And so when the Browns, or when the picture surfaced of him flying to Cleveland, I started picking him up on some rosters, stashing him. Obviously that turned into being able to play him because he just went off every single week. So I would say that was probably like my most successful acquisition during the season.
Sure.
And then if you want to stay on the quarterback route, Anthony Richardson would have been the opposite, because I took him early a lot of places because I was sold, and he looked so good right away. Then
He
obviously
did.
the injury that really cost me big time.
Yeah, I was kind of the opposite on him. I didn't think he'd be ready this year. I didn't think he was going to get a lot of playing time. And he came out, or I thought if he did play, he was going to look bad, right? He was going to really struggle.
Right.
And he came out looking good.
Yeah.
Athletic. It wasn't just the running, which I
got,
thought that's all he would have to go on, was just his rushing ability. But he was great with the arm wise too. I mean, he was more consistent than I expected.
Well, you look at how those receivers did down the road. I mean, Pittman and Downs, for the dynasty shares that I have of them, which is quite a few, I'm very excited for that, because I think if he can stay healthy, which obviously is big key for anybody, he's going to be a fantasy beast in the years to come.
When he gets drafted before, I think maybe he already got drafted in the one you just started, but are you going to be upset? He did get drafted.
He's already off the board, yeah. So my buddy Chris took him, so we'll
And who
see.
did you
Yeah,
take?
but I had the number 3 pick. I went with Jalen Hurts. I was surprised he went me at 3. Joe Burrow, the Bengals fan, gets in the way, so he took Burrow at 2. But we had to get that. Man, the drafting part of it's one of the most fun parts. We're through the season now. Got to get the juices flowing, start getting ready for next season. So gotta keep drafting.
Yeah, 100% agree. I went Fields. Hopefully he's not a backup next year, or my first pick.
I was about to mention when you picked him. I was like, oh, that means Justin thinks he's staying, which I agree. And I think, he's obviously, we know what he can do for fantasy. He's absolutely amazing.
Yep. And you got Stroud.
I did. I took Stroud.
Took Stroud first. So
I was eyeing Stroud at 3. If Hurts and Allen had gone off the board before me, I was leaning towards taking potential Stroud.
I'm feeling so good about that.
4. He said he would have taken Stroud too. So love Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Zach Avello checking in. What's up? Happy 100. Cheers, Zach. Zach is a big whiskey fan.
Mm-hmm.
So we always appreciate his support. We're going to bring on our other guest, Cody. You can hang out with them since you kind of know him just a little bit, or you can take off. It's up to you.
Just a little bit.
Just
just a tiny bit know him.
They talk. But before we get to that, I got to let you know about Game Time. Game Time is amazing because I already talked about Prize Picks. Let's say you don't have money to go to the game, but then all of a sudden your Prize Picks entry lights up, you cash, and you got some money to go to the game. Well, you can go to Game Time, who has last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. In fact, they're so confident if you find ticket prices less than theirs in the same row and same section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. They're not doing that because they have to give away. I mean, this is just their testament to like, hey, we got the lowest stuff out there. And it's just super easy to use. You just download the app and get those last minute tickets, because who likes planning ahead? No more digging through your junk, because nobody likes digging through their junk, of course. For your tickets, it's right on the app. That's all you got to do. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bets' revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value.
Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HUFBets.com and use code SGPN for 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right. Well, look at this. All our guests are early. They're just on
early. I love it.
I know, on the ball and everything. But we're going to have a couple of them stay backstage, because right now I'm going to introduce the guy. You can find him on the X at RJ Villa Gomez. And really, the start of our podcast wouldn't have been without this guy reaching out to me as soon as I joined Sports Gambling Podcast and saying, hey, we got to get you on. We got to get you on the podcast to talk some fantasy football that he was running. Got on there and kind of taught me every step of the way of podcasting and everything I needed to know, helped kind of groom me and all that stuff. So without further ado, I'm sure you know this guy, also co-hosting the NASCAR Gambling Podcast with Cody, Mr. Rod Villa Gomez.
Hey, happy 100, everybody. Happy 100, Justin and Mir. I got to tell you right now, I am honored to be on the show. How many of these I've already had backstage? You'll never know, but cheers to you both. 100 episodes is a monumental feat in podcasting, and I got to tell you, I'm just so proud of both of you guys for sticking through this, for pushing through all of the hard times and the times where you got to the microphone and said, do we really have to do this today? And continue to push through it all, because you have a hell of a show and you have a hell of a fan base. So I'm just sitting here so proud of both of you, and I can't wait to get through this while we talk.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for everything you did to help me get comfortable behind the mic, because I was not at all. And I think some of my comfortability probably helped you, because Rod got me comfortable and I was able to get you comfortable. And that's what's just kept us going. But you're absolutely right. There are days where you're just like
Mondays.
Oh,
we do a podcast on Mondays.
Yes.
Who wants to podcast on a Monday?
And it's just like,
Cody
oh
and
my
I are
gosh.
pretty good at that.
Yeah. A lot of times for you, it's like, holy crap, work was hell. And now I have to try to think of these things to say about football, especially if people ask me questions. Are you kidding me? I mean,
Don't worry. I have Justin popping in my office throughout the day like, hey, did you hear this happened? So-and-so got injured. Oh my gosh. This is like, you are just like my
providing
little
all the updates.
fantasy football.
Adam
boss.
Schefter, eat your heart out.
That's right. Did you just call me the fantasy football gossiper? Maybe that should be a handle.
Better check that.
Rod, nice suit, and you are getting all sorts of compliments. Super Rod, gotta love that. Nick Fortune says, rocking out the suit. Well done, Rod. And my mother says, wow, looking good, Rod. Dad, watch out.
She's going to be after you, Rod.
Yeah. And then Jill Hoyt
Listen.
saying, cheers to 100.
I excel at fitting in with the parents. So if I woo your parents, I'm sorry.
That's fair enough. Hey, we're going to start in on number 2.
Oh, I haven't finished number
Well,
1.
maybe you should finish number 1. I left
Oh
a little
my
bit in case
God,
I need to
yeah.
go back. But Rod, let's start with what's your favorite whiskey?
I don't have one. Mine's the same as Cody. It's beer.
Beer.
But I will say that this time I am rocking a red breast single pot still loose Tau mixture. I'm not quite sure. It's a little bitty bottle. Is that what you got?
Nope,
Look at
Justin's
that.
got the big bottle.
No, but this reminded me. We have a red breast single pot still loose Tau sherry finish that my parents had episode 100 engraved for us.
Oh, wow.
And then on the back it says OFF.
So what the hey?
And
I
so-
had no clue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We will
wow.
be trying and reviewing this soon.
Yes.
I'm really excited to try it. And
Yeah, we were going to drink it on this show, but we thought that deserves its own episode.
Well, I have its little brother, sister. I don't know what it is, but it's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it right now. Any whiskey that I'm sipping with you is my favorite whiskey, guys.
There you go. All right. Well, as we asked Cody, I know you've been in plenty of fantasy football leagues. You were in the Scott Fishbowl again this year. Give me your best and your worst fantasy football call, whether that's a player you drafted too high, one that you drafted a little high and everybody grimaced at you like, what is he doing? But it panned out. What's your best and worst?
For the love of God, can people stop letting me draft J.K. Dobbins? Please just stop. Just stop. If
Me
I
too.
reach for that sticker, literally slice my hand off because I'm done. I can't do it anymore. I was so pumped that he was coming back. I was so pumped because that running, the Baltimore Ravens, all they do is run. So I was like, let's go. And I had him and I put him in the Fishbowl League too. And I was so stoked. I was like, this is the steal of the draft. And I think I picked him like 4th. And in Scott Fishbowl, anybody that's not a quarterback or a kicker going 4th is junk for you. But yeah, that was bad. I don't ever want to do that again. So I'm off the J.K. Dobbins train. Sorry, J.K. I love you, but can't trust you anymore.
I think JK's off the train too.
He's
I don't know that we'll see him again.
He won't draft himself either.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I went after JK and then I followed it up with going with Gus Edwards, who had some nice weeks, but really not nice enough.
No.
If you'd have told you that Kieran Mitchell or
Keaton Mitchell?
Keaton Mitchell would have gotten you. Say, I can't even pronounce his name, let alone figure out that he was going to get that many carries.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's your worst. What was your best? Which one are you proudest of?
I think I'm proudest of Jordan Addison. I was going after him thinking to myself that he was in a really good position in Minnesota, and he was. I mean, granted, he wasn't like a top 25 receiver, but at the same token, for the price you got him at, I thought he was a really good deal. And he turned out a lot of weeks, especially once Justin Jefferson kind of went down those couple of weeks, and he turned it on. And I mean, he wasn't the most reliable but he was a great flex, and he was a great person that you could just say, and if, on a bye week, the wide receiver 2, or even if, you needed to upgrade or replace your wide receiver 1, he did so good for me over the course of the season. Just needed that much more out of him to get into the championships, but oh well.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. That's especially awesome when you take into account that Quentin Johnston went ahead of him in almost every draft I was in. And Quentin Johnston was such a disappointment, just terrible. So, nail on the head there with Jordan Addison.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we don't like the Vikings
No.
as Bears fans, but
no, you guys don't.
They're better than the Packers.
they're better than the Packers. They're better than the Huskers.
That's
Sorry,
funny. I heard you
Cody.
talk about the Foundry earlier, and I noticed that their new whiskey is for the Nebraska a collective NIL deal. I was like,
I saw
interesting.
That.
The Iowa distillery, and they're going with the Huskers. Even they
look at Cody.
Shame.
You want to negate that? Just ask them, how did Iowa do?
Well, I mean, Nebraska scored the same amount of points as Iowa did in the bowl game this year. So
right. Yeah, exactly. Josiah getting a little offended. He is a Vikings fan. Sorry, Josiah. Actually, he's a Raiders
I like
fan.
the Vikings, Josiah. It's all right.
Yeah,
Well,
He-
he's a Raiders fan,
but he
they're
lives in Minnesota, and they root for
Minnesota.
the Vikings as well. That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I just noticed. I noticed Nick popped in shortly after I think Cody joined, and Nick is scheduled for 8:10, so he's very early.
He's the earliest.
And
He takes.
Is
the-
that not very like Nick?
He makes up for our lateness with
yes,
how
yes.
early. He
Nick
is,
will be like,
always.
if Nick's coming over at like 7:00, he'll call
No.
you at 6 saying he's on the way.
Or
It's like,
lunch. No, this
it's a
is
30-minute
Sorry,
drive.
Nick, for what I'm about to say, but he'll be coming over to our house for lunch. We're gonna have do a lunch with him, and I know what time I need to be ready by. He's here an
Breakfast?
hour early and he texts us. He's like, well, I'm at the Hy-Vee in Winterset.
Killing time.
Killing time. Like, just come over. But my goodness, you know how long it takes to get from your house.
That's like my grandma. You tell her a time like to meet at a restaurant. You don't have to worry about showing up early to get a table because she's got your name in. She's already got the table by the time you get there.
It's holding it down.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, you guys are going to join us next week. And I know we haven't ironed the details, but we're thinking, I mean, we've talked a little bit about it. We're thinking this is going to be, we're going to talk a little fantasy football. We're going to talk some NASCAR. It's going to be a true crossover episode. If you like fantasy football, but know nothing about NASCAR, these guys got you covered.
Mm-hmm.
And they also know their fantasy football. So it's going to be a fun time. And I can't wait for that. And we're trying a special Whistle Pig Alfa Romeo barrel select that.
Oh, there it is. There's the handshake.
Rod's searching for his. There it is. When I poured that for you guys, I made the mistake of trying it.
Did you know?
Mistake.
Now the bottle's
Made a
on.
mistake.
No, he comes up and tells me, he's like, you weren't supposed to do that. We were supposed to try it together.
And it's a really hard thing to find. Like, it was at our Costco. It's like a limited edition, only one per customer.
And we
blah,
bought
blah,
it
blah.
months and months ago.
Months
So
ago,
you
yeah.
can't even find it there now.
And I was so bummed, but luckily Miranda came through for Christmas. She found it from some shipper out of California, I believe, and got me a whole nother bottle of it. So
It's
now I don't
so
have
it's
to
kind
hold
of a
mine
good
so
thing you
preciously.
tried it, or I wouldn't have gotten you that for Christmas.
Right, exactly.
There you go. Worked
But
out.
yeah, you guys are in for a good treat, I believe, because you're not super big whiskey fans. It's not whiskey-y.
No, it's
I
finished
mean, it is a
in
little, but
lychee tea
yeah, lychee and oolong tea
and
barrels.
lychee and oolong
And it's
tea.
a amazing combination. Nothing I ever thought would have like, ooh, this sounds really good. But as soon as you
It's
try
very
it,
good.
there's a smooth whiskey, there's a nice tea. I don't want to get into it too much. I want you guys to form your own opinions, but you should look forward to it, I think.
I know I'm going to look forward to it because, again, like you said, I'm not the world's most biggest whiskey connoisseur. So anything you say is good. I think I'm gonna like it. But at the same time, it's got to not be whiskey taste. I think if it was fruit punch flavored whiskey, I would probably like it better.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's not. It's tea flavored, but
Hawaiian
Lychee.
punch.
It's fruity. Lychee is a fruit.
True.
You're like, when
you
you were
go.
telling me about it, I was like, oh, it's a fruit. And you're like, no, it's tea. I was like, no, lychee is yes, you can make teas out of fruit, but lychee is a tea.
You guys
Or
are
is a
seeing
fruit.
how
My goodness.
Learn
disagreeing
something
with
every day.
Miranda goes for me. You're really nursing number one.
Well,
over there.
because I went to number 2 first. You didn't have
Oh,
this in
okay.
order for me.
Whoops.
Way to go, Justin. Way to
I
go.
know.
Gonna be all messed up.
Well, sorry about that. Guys, do you have anything else you want to add before we get you out of here and bring on another guy who's got to go to work, unfortunately
Oh.
for him?
That sucks.
What's that?
What's that?
Just
No.
congratulations. 100 episodes, like such a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
You guys do a great job. Always look forward to your shows. And yeah, love everything you do. Keep up the good work. We'll see you for 200 and whenever we get there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cody. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I will echo Cody's sentiments as well. I mean, like I said, 100 episodes is no drop in the pan. You guys bring a fresh take to this community, this whole world. So I think the two of you need to shoot for 1,000 before it's all said and done. Yeah, that's a daunting number now, but wait till 1,000. You'll be like, man, remember when we were celebrating 100? But yeah, definitely keep up the great work. I'm just happy to have been a small part of launching Justin's podcasting career. But again, it was all you, buddy. You had it in you all along, and you took this show. Miranda, you made it better, and the world is better for it. So congrats on 100. Let's go to 2 and the moon.
Yes, sir. The only problem with the 200 and the 1,000th episode is finding 200 proof and 1,000 proof whiskeys.
Make
You
it
got
awesome.
time to get someone on. That's,
You got time to
that's
start
somebody's
brewing it.
research project right now.
Right. I can't help but notice Rod's honker is broken.
That's what I
not
get for
making the-
partying too hard.
Noise.
It doesn't make noise. It's just it's one of those ones where it's for
Okay.
looks.
Just-
Where were
It's
those when
fans,
we?
Justin.
when
It's
my
like
daughter
me.
had
It's
the
for
loud
looks.
ones for
The
New
sound
Year's?
doesn't matter.
Those are the parent friendly ones.
You're like Mike McDaniel. It's only gonna get bigger. You can find him on X at RJ Villa Gomez. You can find Cody at Husker_Zeeb. Guys, thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. We'll see you next
Cheers. We'll see
week.
you next
See you
week.
next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Should we bring on our next guest?
Yes.
We're rolling through. It's been a fun show already.
Well, you gotta get Rod out of here. There we go.
Get Rod out of here. So awesome that you two came to help celebrate. I agree.
Yes,
So
thank
awesome
you
that,
so much.
yeah, all of our guests took time to come and visit us. Why don't you introduce
Well,
this
you can-
next champ?
How dare you? You can find our next guest on the X at bet_the_bar. He is a back-to-back champ in our league. He is also the owner of the Flying Moose Bar in the Clive, Des Moines area. It's in Clive.
It is in Clive, but just in case people don't know,
If
what
you're in the
Clive is.
area, go check it out.
Yes.
He is a Packers fan. We're going to try not to hold that against him too much. Let's bring in RD Summers.
RD, what's going on, man?
Oh, we got you.
He's getting unmuted.
There we go.
He's got it. Don't worry.
My bad.
You're good, man. How's it going?
It goes good. Just like you said, getting ready for work, but definitely didn't want to miss out on these shenanigans. I'll have it playing probably in my ear until you guys are done.
Nice. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
RD, I shaved my beard today to look a little bit cleaner, and I knew that you were going to be on, and I knew it would put mine to shame anyways, so I had to get rid of it.
That's the truth comes out. You come into the kitchen and you're like
You
pointing
notice
your
anything
chin at
different?
me, and I was like, yes, you cut a lot off, actually.
I did cut a lot off.
It looks nice.
Well, thank you. I really knew yours was going to put mine to shame. That's really what it was.
Your
but-
mom is probably very happy you cut that back. I think we have a beard conversation with her almost every time we're with your parents.
especially around the holidays, because
Yeah.
when it's colder, I let it go.
You get
you
a little
know?
extra
Yeah.
fluff.
I get it
So-
from my family.
Packer fan, Hawkeye fan. Do you like whiskey?
I used to when I still drank. I'm in a 12-year retirement, so my
I
whiskey now
thought
is
so. Yeah.
PBR non-alcoholic beer. But back in the day, it was Jameson or Jameson 18.
Nice.
Mhm.
Miranda, her mother, and I were at a wedding, and we drank the wedding's bar out of Jameson.
Was it at a hotel?
No,
it
at
was at a venue.
Was it
Or
a country club or something?
I think so.
Yeah.
And
done the
they
same
just
thing
were
at
not
the hotel.
prepared for our Jameson ginger and mine.
So I know you guys got some whiskeys there. What's the most requested for whiskey drink? Jack and Coke?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I figured.
it's going to be Jack and Coke, or you're going to have a lot of people that'll just go 10 high because it satisfies both whiskey or bourbon, whatever your preference is.
Sure.
We don't do a ton of top shelf stuff. Don't get a lot of on the rocks drinkers.
Yep.
It's mainly as a shot bar and a beer bar. It's the prototypical Fireball, Jack Fire, those types of drinks.
Yeah. However, it's a great place to spend a Sunday watching football, because every time we watch a game there, you've actually left me there a couple times because you've had stuff to do. I'm like, I don't want to miss the Bears game, and I'm drinking knowing that she's going to drive, and I'm drinking. And when I'm ready to leave, you give me the tab, and I'm like, did he give me some sort of discount? I'm like trying to look to see it, and no, the prices are just unbelievable compared to anywhere else you go in Des Moines. Everywhere is so overpriced. But anytime I go to your bar and have, I shouldn't say always, but I think I do always drink whiskey when I'm there.
Mhm.
And it's always a hell of a deal. So if
And you can't forget the twofers.
and the twofers,
Every day, LA.
yeah,
That's why your tab's so cheap, is because of
I
the
know.
It is.
I know, it's crazy. And just a really fun place in general. So obviously we said you're a fantasy football fan. You are the back-to-back champ in our league, though we don't like to say that, which I noticed we're on 10 years. This was our 10th year of running the league.
Of running that one.
Yes, of running
We
that
often
league.
have that debate.
Yeah,
We
it was
do.
10 years. It
Okay.
started in 2013. This was the 2023 season. And
I think I've
back-
been in for 7.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. You came on a little bit later, and back-to-back champ. So tell us the secret. What was your best call?
I think my best call looking back was, one, keeping Brees Hall, even though he was hurt. Like you guys said, it's an auction dynasty league for those of you that don't know about this league. I kept him at $31, which seems kind of crazy for a guy coming off an ACL tear. Stuck with him through the first part of the season, paid off huge dividends throughout the year. And then I'm proud of myself that I didn't sit him after he put up 2.8 points in the first round of the playoffs. I have a deep team. I could have gone another direction, stuck with him, caught the 45-point monster in the semis, 27 points in the finals. So it's hard for me to say as a Hawkeye fan, but Breece Hall, probably my MVP on the year.
Yeah, no kidding, for sure of the playoffs, but also for the year. He had a hell of a year, especially for a team that they didn't really do a whole lot, especially after your guy, your former guy, Aaron
Not no more, baby.
We talked a lot about that on the podcast, and we both said that we thought Green Bay got the better half of that deal. And then they really did after he got injured. But even before, I think they got the better part of the deal. What do you see for the future for the Packers these next couple years? Is Jordan Love your guy? And are you going to cry when the Bears beat you on Sunday?
I will cry if the Bears beat us on Sunday. However, win or lose, it's not going to change the way I feel about this season. You have to look at it as a success, especially when they didn't give him the guarantee. They didn't give him the 5th-year option, but then they gave him that 2nd-year deal. So you still have him cheap next year. So if something were to happen, they can pivot if they need to. But I mean, so far he looks, serviceable at worst. When I was on the show with you and Mac earlier in the year, I said if he could be Alex Smith, we'd have a shot at the playoffs. And I think he's been that and more. So we'll see how it goes long term. But defensive coordinator needs addressed. Get Joe Barry out of there. I can't take it anymore.
Josiah checking in saying, always love to see the Packers lose. He lives in Minnesota, so forgive him.
I mean, everybody does.
Yeah. I have to say, as a Bears fan, I wish Love would have done worse, but it was nice not to see him do better, right? Because you go from Favre to Rodgers. It was nice to see Love had some struggle moments and that it wasn't just automatically, oh, here's for sure the next guy that's just going to continue to kill us every single year. I think we have a good chance on Sunday. Now, there is that whole thing of the Bears tend to feel that Packer game is so much pressure, and then I feel like they play like a completely different team.
What was Justin Fields doing today? Like giving blackboard material? I don't get it. Nothing to do in Green Bay but play football. Well, you better hope he wins because Jordan Love's going to be like, well, I watched so much tape. That's why we won the game. Too much to do in Chicago, apparently.
Yeah. What other questions do you have for RD? Worst fantasy football call?
Did we do the worst?
I'm gonna throw you a curveball. This is not a particular player. This is a philosophy.
Okay.
It is now 2024. We have to stop snake draft leagues. It has to go away. I absolutely hate them. I'm in 2 of them. One is a league I started for some beginners, so I kind of have to keep it. Another one is the longest league I've been in. I think this is our 15th year, and we've modified it enough it's tolerable. But when you have auction dynasties, like, it makes me hate snake drafts so much more because you have to draft players you don't want. And you might take someone in an auction you don't want, but you're going to throw a couple dollars at them, not a 6th or a 5th or a 4th round pick. So get out of the snake drafts, go auction.
Auction is the way to go.
The way to go for sure.
Yeah. Yes. We've brought a lot of people kind of into auction because we either did our listener league or we did a family league. But the listener league, especially for people that have played fantasy football but never did auction, they have all said to us, I don't want to play it any other way. That's the best format to do. And I 100% agree.
There's so much strategizing. You have to budget. It's a lot more complex than a snake draft.
Well, 100%. And I like you don't get as much beginner's luck.
True.
In an auction dynasty, like, you have to do your research. So people that put in the work are typically going to rise to the top. Obviously, not always, because I won a championship. But in a snake draft, you have teams that win championships by auto drafting. So just go auction. It's way better. Auto drafting in an auction does not necessarily
No, we
convert to a good
can't handle
thing.
that.
Yeah, no.
That is an absolute no for me.
We've had people do it before, and it's terrible because the auto bid always bids you to their max projected amount, and yeah, it's terrible.
But in some cases, you can play it against them.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Mhm.
Very true. RD, anything else you want to add before you get out of here and you have to go to work?
Well, I'm going to run to work. I just want to say congratulations, guys. I love
Thank you.
getting on
Thank
here
you.
and checking you guys out. I love battling you on the fantasy football gridiron, and I can't wait to see how many more episodes this lasts. My guess is a lot.
Well, we appreciate it, RD.
Thank you.
And we're going to have you on this off season so people can get that strategy from you on how you've won back-to-back in our league.
You
There's
name
got
it.
to be something to it.
Anytime, guys. Congrats.
All right. Thanks, RD. Take it easy.
Have a good one.
All right. I'm going to introduce the next guest, if you don't mind, because he is backstage.
He is.
And it's not Nick Fortune, who's been sitting back there for now 30 minutes, I think, just chilling.
Good old Nick.
If you know the Sports Gambling Podcast, you know this guy. If you don't know the Sports Gambling Podcast, what are you doing? You're missing out on free money because they're giving out free picks that they are so successful. When Iowa said they were going to approve sports gambling, I decided maybe I want to find a podcast to try to get some advice, kind of, learn a little bit about betting before I jump right in. I listened to, I don't know, maybe a dozen different podcasts before I found these guys. And I'm like, and it's not necessarily that the others were bad. They might've been giving good advice. It's all about how it is delivered. And these guys deliver it very well. In fact, one of my first memories, I believe I played for you. I'm like, listen to this story about Juan from Walgreens.
I know.
You can find this guy.
That was the best.
Yeah. Find this guy on X at Sean T Green. Sean, stacking the money green. Sean, how you doing?
Doing great. Congrats on the 100th show. Love the chemistry you guys have. Being married, I'm sure helps with the chemistry. You guys know each other well.
Some days it goes against us.
Yeah, I know. I'm married. I couldn't imagine some days hosting a show with my wife, but all the chippiness makes it fun. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. And of course, appreciate the whiskey you guys sent for the studio. That stuff has been going down smooth. I don't know. You guys were, well, yeah. And J Mark, you were on or called in, or I forget. We're in the chat for the New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, yeah.
And yeah, I was definitely getting into that stuff. So the Keeper's Heart, that stuff is great. So shout out to those guys as well.
It's so good. Every whiskey we've tried of theirs has just been
on the spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We were actually a little bummed because we're doing all 100 proof whiskeys and we're looking and we're like, we don't have any Keeper's Heart 100 proof. This is a shame. But
yeah, Ryan was scared off the old fashioned. He actually really liked it. He's not as big of a drinker as I am. And, we had that, we were doing shots, which you wouldn't normally do shots of the old fashioned, but
sure.
It was still good. And yeah, that's only 70 proof. So that was going down pretty easy.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're not drinking Keeper's Heart old fashioned, what is your go-to whiskey?
Yeah, I mean, I keep it simple. The Jameson, I love Jameson. It's kind of like my bread and butter. I do like I usually get the cask mates, like the either the IPA or the stout. I forget. One's in the green bottle, one's in the black, but both those are really good and not super expensive either. Like even Jameson regular I like as well, but I usually just for my home bar or for here, I'll go the Castmates. I think the IPA, I think the green one.
The green's in the IPA, stout's in the black one.
Yeah,
they're both.
That's why you like Keeper's Heart so much, because the master distiller from Jameson flew to Minnesota and decided to live there to work that distillery. So
wow, yeah, imagine choosing to live in Minnesota.
I know. Yeah, the guys
they must not mind the cold weather,
right? The O'Shaughnessy's that own the distillery, they reached out to him on LinkedIn. They were like, hey, we want you to talk about maybe coming to distill for us. He's like, I like living in Ireland, but if you're ever here, stop by. They booked a plane ticket and they were there 3 days later.
Wow.
And yeah,
they were going after him.
Yeah. All I could say is they probably gave him a nice chunk of cash in order to leave Ireland to go to Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, I is it in Minneapolis? Minneapolis is a cool town. It's just super cold. So you gotta, I guess once you get it, I mean, if you've ever been there, they have like walkways in the downtown so that you can like basically stay inside and move around the city, which is kind of cool. But also is like a warning sign of like, hey, it's gonna be
cold.
Right. Absolutely. I don't know if you were on or listening when we said Miranda, her mom, and I drank a bar out of Jameson at a wedding.
Jameson, ginger, and limes.
Yes.
It is an amazing drink. They make it in a can now, but if you make it just
Better
yourself,
on
it's
its
so
own.
much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
That's actually, I mean, honestly, that's whenever we're out in Vegas for doing the shows for VEASAN or just hanging out, after the VEASAN show ends, I have like head right to the bar, get a ginger, a Jameson and ginger, because especially like in Vegas where you're drinking a lot of them, or a wedding, I always get the ginger ale. Like if I'm at home, I drink it on the rocks because I'm not going to have like a million. But in Vegas, or if you're at a wedding and you're getting after it a little bit, the ginger ale to me like helps settle your stomach a little bit, and kind of balance out all that Jameson. So, yes, Irish mules I saw in the chat. Those are tasty.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's RD, the owner of the Flying Moose. If you ever come to Des Moines, you got to stop at the Flying Moose. 2 for 1s till 8 o'clock every single day. So, do you want to ask Sean about some fantasy football
Yes.
stuff?
Can you tell us? Let's start with your best fantasy pick this season.
Okay, let's see. Best fantasy pick this season. Well, I'll pull up the high stakes league that Ryan and I were in. Unfortunately, we came in. We had a first round bye in the playoffs and then got knocked out after the first round. But our team was, we ran into a buzzsaw. Like Rashad White killed us. I will say, we were both on Justin Fields, who, again, had a little up and down, but closed out the year pretty strong, rushing. And then, honestly, going back to Old Faithful of Mike Evans, like a lot of people, I think, thought Mike Evans was kind of washed up. But getting him where we got him, I thought was huge for our team. Like, the other guys we had that were good, Deebo Samuel, AJ Brown, you would kind of expect coming into the year to have pretty good years. But I feel like Mike Evans, everyone's like, oh, he's washed up. No, Tom Brady, he's going to be shitty. So I think, if I'm touting myself, I would say the Mike Evans pick was the best one for our fantasy.
Mike Evans went in our the auction league that we run together for $7. Nick Fortune drafted him, and I traded Nick Fortune, Brian Robinson, for him. And I have him as, I'm going to keep him at $7. It goes up $5 every year, but definitely worth it, I feel like.
Oh yeah, that's a good steal. And Mike, they're probably going to bring Baker back. I don't see Mike Evans falling off a cliff next year. Maybe in a couple of years, but he still seems like he's got some gas up in the tank. Yeah, and he might even, there was some talk about him going somewhere else. So I don't know. If he does, it's probably a good situation for him. So we'll see.
Cody Zeeb saying you draft AJ Brown in every league.
Yes, definitely. It's super chalky, but the guy is, even these past few weeks where the Eagles are complete dog shit, he still gets his. And he probably would even be better for fantasy if it wasn't for Jalen Hurts like eating up all the rushing touchdowns at the goal line. But other than that, he still has a really high ceiling, and I think he's a good. I think he's good if you guys are into playoff fantasy. I know Ryan and I are going to be doing the FFPC. You guys should do a lineup, the FFPC. Have you ever done the FFPC fantasy playoff thing?
Can't do it in Iowa, unfortunately.
Yeah. We're so limited here.
Yeah.
These states are so dumb where it's like, all right, yes, legalize sports gambling, except fantasy, which it's the complete opposite in California. So I'd happily trade. But the format is pretty fun. I think it's like what are there 14 teams in the playoffs, so you have a 12-man roster, and then there's 2 teams you don't pick. You pick a kicker and a defense, and then you fill it out with, I forget how many tight ends, running backs, receivers, 1 quarterback, and you can only use 1 guy from each team. So that kind of creates that's what's fun about the game, right? So you're thinking like, all right, the ideal scenario is a team that makes it to the Super Bowl off of the wild card, because then you get those extra games in there. But rambling a bit, but AJ Brown, definitely a good fantasy football playoff pick, I think, because one, he's going to be playing most likely an NFC South team in round 1. Now they're going to be on the road, but I still think like if they play the Bucks, that Bucks passing defense is very, very bad. So even if you hate the Eagles and think they're going to blow the game, I still think AJ Brown is going to get his in fantasy. So we'll see how it shakes out. But right now that could be a good matchup for him.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, while you're here, maybe you can help us answer the merch god. Jake Paquin says, after losing in 3 semis, won by 0.3 points, ouch, I've decided I'll be doing a cleanse at next year's draft to seek forgiveness from the fantasy gods. Any alcohol suggestions that pair well with this ceremony?
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think if it's a cleansing, you have to do something that's out of the ordinary, right? Like you guys probably know a bunch of good whiskeys that would be great for just like a normal draft. But if he's cleansing himself, I think he needs to go weird. I think he needs to go something like a Rumpelmans. What was that drink? Goldschlager with that gold. I think you need to do something to kind of punish yourself a little bit, Jake. Because if it's a sacrifice, you can't be drinking some top shelf keeper's heart, right?
You should pull a Justin and do some UV blue and absinthe.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes, because then you'll cleanse your memory as well, probably.
Yeah, in college we got absinthe, and you're supposed to mix it with water, and we were like, water? Let's try UV blue with it.
Oh wow. That reminds me, drunkest my wife has ever been. We had a graduation party for my sister. She was graduating med school, and they were making margaritas. Now they had already gotten the margarita mix, and then they added the tequila in and made the margarita. What they didn't realize was that the margarita mix they got already had the tequila in it. So they added tequila to already pre-mix. And tequila is one of those drinks too, where, much like whiskey for some people where they get like angry or get a little, off your rock, or tequila definitely is one of those as well, where it's like, it hits you a little different than some of these other alcohols.
Yeah. Jake said he'll drink anything to get back to his winning ways. My dad popped in and said, tequila. Drink some tequila.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have a worm in it though. That'll really help cleanse you.
Oh yes. Yes. Eat the worm, Jake. Eat the worm. That'll fix you.
All right, Sean, what was your worst fantasy football call? What's somebody that you really whiffed on?
That's so tough because
Kenny Gainwell is going to outsnap DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, I would say, in best ball, I had I think Rashad Penny was one of my most drafted guys because, at least it was a whiff in like the 16th or 18th. Like I would always draft him. In hindsight, I should have been listening to Andrew Robb and drafting Puka Nacua. Instead, I was drafting Rashad Penny because, it was classic getting too cute because I knew they liked Rashad Penny in that draft where they drafted, or at least the Eagles management did. So I'm like, oh, they brought him in. They brought in DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell. I thought it was going to be much closer to a 3-headed monster. Now, Gainwell still gets some work, and he kind of was that lead back early on, or at least for the first couple games. But it's DeAndre Swift has stayed healthy. That was the other part of the handicap, was like DeAndre Swift never stays healthy. Meanwhile, he stays healthy this year. So I thought they would have given Rashad Penny a chance. But again, it's way too late now. So that's probably one of my biggest whiffs. And again, classic, like, oh, I know the Eagles. I'm smarter than everyone else. And that was a big time whiff.
I think it was your Eagles preview episode that you guys did where you mentioned you thought Kenny Gainwell would have more snaps by the end of the year than DeAndre Swift. And I got him late in a lot of leagues for $1. In those first couple of weeks, I looked so fucking smart.
Oh, yeah. And I guess in my defense, like they still use him near the goal line. Yeah. He drives my friends crazy. If you're an Eagles fan, you listen to the Eagles podcast, like the fact that they still like give him so much work, and he's been playing all right. Like he'll get some touchdowns. Like he's okay, but it is kind of clear he's the number 2. So got a little cute with the running back stuff. Although in general, I still like taking shots on long shot running back stuff, because normally it's a pretty volatile position with injuries and stuff like that, because they take the most impact. But yeah, it's weird. This year it was clearly quarterback where there was a ton of injuries. So honestly, I feel like most of the people in the fantasy playoffs that probably went on a run were just people who had their quarterback stay healthy the whole time.
True.
Or
very
good
true.
pickups on the waivers.
Or
That's
good
what I was
pickups,
doing.
Yeah.
In my dynasty league, I went to the championship and I didn't have quarterback. Like I was picking up a new quarterback every week.
Yeah.
Well, and
Really
that's
rough.
the other thing because of the injuries. If you're dominating the waiver wire like Miranda, you get Joe Flacco. Like imagine losing to Joe Flacco in the fantasy playoff. It would have been so annoying. But again, like if you're on top of it, I'm sure that's why guys like Cody do well. Even though they're in 90 different leagues, if you're managing them all and staying on top of the waivers, like it really makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take credit for some of Cody's. We know he's an avid listener, so we'll
he
all
won
that
because
waiver
of
wire
us.
advice. No. Sean, thank you so much for
Yes,
joining.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Great
for letting
seeing
us
you guys.
use your platform for Old Fashioned Football. We appreciate your guys' support. All credit is due to you guys for saying, yeah, let's give this a go. So we super appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Here's to another 100 episodes. Great work, guys.
Absolutely.
Take it easy.
Cheers.
Yep. Cheers.
All right, Miranda, we're going to take a little break from talking. We're going to do a little drinking behind the scenes while we
I need
play.
to catch up a bit.
You need to catch up a lot.
You've been like nudging me, and I'm just I know.
Get to drinking, woman. We got a video that recaps. Now, when we played our intro video, it lagged and froze on our end. I don't think it did on the listener end because Rod and Cody were backstage and seemed unfazed. So I hope that this one plays through for us too, but at least it'll play through for you guys. It's a longer video, so sit back, relax, have a drink, and enjoy a recap of all our guests that we've had on the show.
I love building, not Legos or cars. I love building people. I love hosting people and events and making them feel at home. That's the kind of change I have a passion for. Building people up so they can unlock their potential to transform themselves and their communities. Helping them see what they were created to be. I get that love for building from my dad. He's a doctor in mental health, a pastor, and a businessman. But beyond all of that, he's a builder whose big dreams ended up transforming an entire community. So I can't think of a better way to start this chapter than by telling you a little bit about my dad, his dream, and his architect. And so I don't know why I decided to start the book that way.
Like Anthony Richardson's a guy that I think could he has potential. It's almost like LeBron James to me. And I know people will probably be at me saying I'm an idiot. When I watched LeBron James in high school, I was like, oh my God, like he's an NBA Live creative player. Like when we've all played the game where you could make the skill set 100 at every little skill set, right? Well, in a way, Anthony Richardson's that. Now, in games, we haven't seen that. He was not very efficient as a passer. But as far as like his athleticism, his height, his weight, his arm strength, he is an NFL or NBA Live or whatever, Madden football creative player. So that is one that, I mean, obviously that's not a sleeper, but that is one that I think like could be like a Hall of Fame quarterback, or he could be out of the league in 3 years.
What are some top strategies that you use when doing your auction drafts?
So I do a lot of preps, for auctions pre-auction. I think I find it's the format where I feel like I have to have the most preparation. But in another sense, I also feel like it's the format where even if you have all that prep, you have to also be the most flexible, reading the board and seeing what the prices are. So I do have some strategies for in auction management, but a lot of what I do for auction strategy is the pre.
The bat sweater was a particularly fun project to work on. We've kind of tweaked it every year since we put it out. But when we've originally decided we were going to do spiced holiday whiskey, it's kind of a good segue into the Manhattan Project, where there's a lot of well-funded marketing teams doing sweet products in those categories, right? We can all think of one spiced holiday whiskey that has a great marketing team, right? I was never going to outcompete them in marketing dollars. We were never going to get the kind of placement as that. I wanted to create a spiced holiday themed whiskey that satisfied a real whiskey drinker's itch.
Every time that I get to share about what I do, it's exciting. Every time that I have the opportunity to shake hands and hug people as they walk through the door at the distillery. Given the fact that I am the master blender and Near Screen's great-great-granddaughter, I embrace every bit of it. I had no idea when I started this journey with Fawn Weaver that I would be in this space today, but I love it. I really do. I'm grateful, and in spite of all the accolades and the awards, I am a humble woman. It is not about me. It is about Near Screen, and it will always be, it will always be about Near Screen. But I'm having a good time. I really am. I'm having one hell of a good time doing this, making, blending the whiskey and talking to people about it. I love it.
Yeah. What's the favorite whiskey that you've made here? Because you get to try everybody's requests as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what's the favorite thing that you've worked on or gotten to try?
Might have to go back to that Stone Imperial whiskey.
Really?
Honestly, I think that's one of the best products we've ever made.
Nice.
That product is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like our 99% corn bourbon. We've got a 10-year bottle. We've got a 99 corn 10-year aged bottle group of bottles that's on our shelf for display and retail. But I just love how sweet it comes across. Mm-hmm. You can sip it straight. You can sip it on rocks. Put it in a Coke. It's a very versatile whiskey or bourbon. It's very nice. It's my favorite.
Nice.
Smell. Yep. And this smells like that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, you get that like rich earthiness from the pot still.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually the pot still that David Perkins said reminded him of the Welch's white grape juice.
Oh, really?
And Brian was like, "For fuck's sake, what is that? Like, I've never even heard of that." And so immediately, someone from our staff went to the store, bought some white grape juice, brought it in. Brian smelled it, and he's like, "That's terrible." But I do understand what David was thinking with that pot still.
Yeah.
A lot of sense to us. We were talking about starting the distillery and what should we name it. And we recognize that without them, we want to be here today doing what we love doing, which is skiing a great ski mountain, living free and making great spirits. To further the story, though, they were deactivated in the mid-50s, and then they were reactivated in the mid-80s as a light infantry quick deployment unit. And now they are headquartered in upstate New York in a place called Fort Drum in Watertown, New York, just a few miles south of the Canadian border. They're also in Fort Polk, Louisiana, which strikes people as being odd, even the soldiers down in Louisiana, because the soldiers still wear the mountain tab. So it's odd to have a mountain unit, although they're not a mountain unit necessarily anymore. They're still honored with a mountain tab in Fort Polk, Louisiana. And then they were repatched with the National Guard here in Colorado Springs in 2016.
Did you start with whiskey as the spirit you wanted to make, or did you want to make everything?
Yeah, so we certainly started out wanting to hang our hat on our whiskey expressions. It's a broad category and a narrow category all at the same time. Within the whiskey category itself, you can there's a lot of room for experimentation, but it's certainly defined by key aspects of it as well. And so, it's something I've always been passionate about. When I was bartending in my mid-20s or so, I fell in love with a bunch of different kinds of whiskeys and just love the creativity around it. But I didn't want to focus. I didn't want to just narrow us in on just straight whiskeys. And that's why, hence, it's 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit Company. The vodka market's 35% of the overall spirit market. So if you are a spirits drinker and you don't like brown spirits, there's a really good chance you're a vodka drinker.
And they did a cast strength for us, which was one of the first ones they did. And it was a short barrel. It only had like 66 bottles in it. It was great. It sold out right away. So they reached out a little bit later, like, "Hey, do you want to do another barrel?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, what do you got?" And they said at that time you could put it in a stout barrel, a maple barrel, a rye barrel, or you could just do a cast strength. They had these 4 options. And you could do them at 2 or 3 proofs. what's great about those guys is that they're like, unless you don't like that, then just do whatever the hell you want, basically. Or, tell us what you think would be fun, and we'll do that. And Brian mentioned, hey, by the way, we have a couple of Pedro Jimenez sherry casks coming in. And I was like, well, there's some pretty good whiskey that's been put in a sherry cask for a few hundred years in Scotland and other parts of the world. I'd love to try that. And a couple of days after those barrels came in, I went in and we smelled them first. It was weird. I thought he was messing with me because we took the bongs out of the two, and he goes, all right, smell it. And he said, take this like rubber mallet and bang on it when I was smelling it. I'm like, so I just do it because I'm listening. And I'm like, you're messing with me. I looked to make sure they weren't recording me. They weren't. It actually made a difference somehow. So anyway, they rolled over the whiskey. I filled it right there, which is super fun. Never done that before. And then we went back every couple weeks for almost 3 months and tried it until we all thought it was ready. It started out very heavily sherried, right? I mean, there's still some liquid sherry in the barrel. And then as that kind of mixed in and it dissipated, the air got to it, it kind of blended harmoniously and created what we think is a pretty darn good blend. So that was a lot of fun. In terms of other things at the store right now, we typically have maybe on the low end 12 different single barrels. I think we have 15 or 20 right now.
Pleasure to meet you both.
Likewise.
Yeah, and thank you for the time. So a little butterscotch, vanilla, cherry, and chocolate with honey on the finish, right? And this is at 80 proof, so really accessible. And this we usually retail on most retailers for like $29.95, which is crazy awesome.
Yeah, very good price.
It smells super sweet, like a very butterscotchy.
That's how I got kid number 3. My wife's like, I hate that joke. And I was like, that's why I tell it.
That's right. Phenomenal cocktails there. So someday, hopefully we can get up there and try that.
The story about the cocktails, which is also very interesting. Again, Wisconsin, you can only serve what you make. So for a while there, when we first started, we had all different, we had a moonshine, we had a s'mores moonshine, so we could make a chocolate martini, and we did different things so that we could make different drinks. Well, we have a line of oils and vinegars, and we have a line of that so that we can use those in our drinks. So our old fashioned, your podcast, we will use a black cherry vinegar, or we have a Granny Smith old fashioned, and we have green apple vinegar, and we use our vinegars in our drinks. And they're amazing. And of course our drinks are pretty heavy pours because we actually make the whiskey there, so it's not a problem. It's not like a half an ounce pour or whatever. I mean, it's like, all right, here's the pour. It's like, oh my God, that one's gonna hurt. But that the drinks are really, really good.
We're able to make 60 barrels of whiskey a week. We're not quite as limited as just the Napa grapes he had access to. We're able to produce a lot more than that, and we aim to do so. So kind of a ceiling that we wanted to push through. It's still very much the essence of Dave Finney. It's that custom typeface. I couldn't believe that they used real wood to do it. It's real birchwood.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. I didn't realize it was real wood. I looked at it and I was like, it looks like real wood, but I didn't realize it was.
I was almost fooled too. I didn't know that you could do that with birchwood when they first set the samples out. So it's a little bit more subtle. You have to look a little bit closer to see that detail. But in that way, truly every bottle is unique because they're all going to be a little bit different that way with stamped birchwood. And it's a nod to Dave's family. He always had kind of a summer home up in Vermont that has this big birch forest.
Nice. Yeah, this thing's going to blow up, y'all. I don't know if y'all know, but like in the next couple, months, years, whatever, y'all won't have to do those other jobs anymore. So keep it up. You're laughing, but I'm serious. Like it's going to blow. So.
All right, we are back. Again, that lagged on our end, but we did check it out on our phone to make sure it was running smoothly. So hopefully it was running smoothly for you all. And awesome moment closing it out there with Sam Acho saying that pretty soon we weren't going to have to do our own jobs. Being a Bears fan my whole life, since you've known me basically, what a moment. That was a really cool moment.
That was really neat.
It was very neat. And he was a very, very gracious person. do you want to introduce our next guest? Because he's been here for about an hour already.
I know. Our earliest guest. Yes,
He
I'll,
gets an
I'll bring
award
him
for
in.
that.
Are you ready for this?
Let's do it.
All right. You can find him on the X at Fortune78X. We've known this guy since college. You've known him a little longer than me.
Yes.
Probably a few years more than me.
Yeah, a few years.
And when I have to say, doing this podcast, when the chat questions are rolling in, he's one of the first people to jump in there and start answering people's questions, which we love to see. We like to see the conversation going in that chat. Justin and I also battled for third. I'm reluctant to say this, in his league.
And who won?
When that does not matter. Without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Nick Fortune.
Nick, that's not a real suit, but that's okay.
Well, it's what I had. It's what I had. You said dress nicely, so I decided to dress nicely. I ironed this shirt for you guys.
Question: you have been sitting in the waiting room for about, what did we say, an hour?
Close to an hour, I think.
Did you go change?
No, he was
wearing
wearing
it.
You were wearing that the whole time?
I was wearing that the entire time. I wore that.
All day.
See, I wore that the entire day. My boss said, "Are you wearing a tuxedo T-shirt?" And I said, "Yes," because I have to wear this for support for their 100th episode. This is outstanding. Thank you very much.
Party after work.
Bill checking in saying, Nick, OMG, I know him. His picture is on my
This
mantle.
deserves a story. We got to tell this story.
All right, go ahead.
Every year for Christmas, on my mom's side of the family Christmas that we do, all the adults exchange, after all gifts are exchanged, the adults exchange, do a gag gift, kind of like White Elephant, but it's a gag gift, usually inappropriate. And this was the 4th year in a row that one of our gag gifts has been a poster size photo of Mr. Nick Fortune posing provocatively in front of something. And my lucky Aunt Jill got that photo this year. Actually, there were 2 of them. Somebody regifted. So your poster size photo, different photos, made an appearance twice in this year's gag gift exchange. It is my favorite part of that Christmas.
Your picture from last year that Caleb's girlfriend got, that got passed around to a bunch of college girls' rooms. It was in their bedrooms. They would hide it under each other's blankets.
And then under their pillows, there was Nick, his crotch holding a present.
And and that was regifted, but
that sounded way worse than it was.
He was holding a gift over his genitals. But Nick, Jamie got that one.
Yeah.
Ooh,
so that's gonna be hung up in their cabin by
Nick,
the Christmas tree.
We got some questions coming in for you. Kirk Ford wants to know: are you going to marry Megan and him in that tux tee?
I mean, if the bride wants it, the bride wants it. I'm not going to say no to it at all. I'm going to be fine with it. It's for the bride. If the bride wants it, the bride wants it. It's up to her. We haven't had that conversation just yet.
Yeah, and Jill wants Miranda to say what she got, but she will not.
We will not be saying that on this show.
It's a somewhat family show. Nick, I see you still got your ladder in the background. I got to ask you, because I know you were having a drink while you were sitting in the back room there. What is your favorite whiskey?
My favorite whiskey is actually what you got me, sir. It is the Slow and Low Rock and Rye whiskey. I don't know if anybody can see that,
Yes.
but it's basically
that is just
it is delicious,
old fashioned, ready to go. It is good.
But I like to point out that I am using it out of your glass I got from you, Justin, that says my name on it.
Nice.
So just letting you know that.
That way
still
you don't
drinking
forget
that glass.
Whose glass it is.
It's
Nick,
mine.
You're in a
It says
couple
my name.
different fantasy football leagues with us. You run a league that I got 3rd place over Miranda in.
Did you get the money? Did you get the money? You got the money though, right?
Got the money.
Okay, good.
What's your best and worst fantasy football call? I can go ahead and say your worst if you want.
Well, I mean, I'm going to go with the best first. I drafted in the keeper's heart $1 for Mr. Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa.
We
Great.
would have, but
Great
we
job.
spent like $67 on Travis Kelce.
Wow. Who
And
made
46 on
that
Mahomes.
decision? Who made that decision?
46 on Mahomes. There's just this tension between us when we're drafting. You can't. It
We
doesn't
can never
work
draft
well.
together again.
No, because I wouldn't draft like that if it was my own team.
Yeah, we can never draft again. Nick, you got a little criticism for a move in our league. You, for whatever reason, before the season started, or maybe it was after week 1, I'm not sure.
It was
You
after
decided to drop Lamar Jackson. No, it was before.
Oh, it was.
It was
before.
before.
'Cause I
It was
remember
before.
people talking about it at another draft I was at.
This
You
is-
decided to drop Lamar Jackson.
Can you explain why?
Well, how did he do last year?
Well, how did he? No.
How did he do last year? How did he do last year? I'll tell you what I did, because I knew this question was going to come up, so I came prepared. I came prepared. He was number 15 on the fantasy football points for QB, and he also just got paid. Now, what do we know about players that get paid in the offseason? They typically don't do well. I say, you know what?
Can you give some examples?
Debo Samuel would be a good example. Just the top of my head for the first like half of the year. I mean, because I'm a true Niners fan. He didn't do that great. That's plain and simple. He did not do that well. In majority of just players, just in general, from what I've seen, they typically, once they get paid, they don't really care that much about the money. Just my opinion.
I'm surprised you haven't started throwing out a bunch of Commanders players or West Virginia players, given that Moneyline Mac is in the backstage right now.
If I was going to draft Matt Ryan, QB1, for the Commanders, but for some reason, Riverboat Ron was like, no, we're going to go with Sam Howell.
Who just had a very disappointing end of his season.
I forgot I have a really good video of Nick, because Nick filled in for you just super last minute. Nick was a champ. You couldn't make it because you were stuck at work. He said, oh, I can do it. And he jumped in. Nick, I'm going to play a video from that real quick.
Go ahead.
Nick, I'm glad you're here, because I couldn't ask Miranda this question because she would have probably given me a false answer. But in the playoffs of the Family League, I go against her cousin Josiah. My quarterbacks are Tua, who we just talked about has a tough matchup, CJ Stroud, who may not play. Do I just throw Tua in there? Do I hope Stroud plays? I have on the waiver wire, there's Nick Mullins, Tommy DeVito, Easton Stick, Mitch Trubisky, Gardner Minshew, Derek Carr, Desmond Ridder, Bailey's Happy, Aiden O'Connell, Joe Flacco. I mean, what do I do here?
Pray.
I did not pray hard enough. I lost that game.
What did you put Tua in though?
Yeah, I played Tua.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just to circle back here to Lamar Jackson, you're not off
Yeah,
the hook.
go ahead.
yet.
No, that's
Because
fine.
How did Lamar Jackson do this year, Nick?
Oh, he did great. He was number 3. He did
Yes, he finished
outstanding.
as QB3.
It was this super strange, just everything that went on. You drop Lamar, Cody picks Lamar up and drops Tua. You then pick Tua up. And when
It
I
was
look at
almost like the weasel trade that my parents tried to do in our family league. Not to bring up
but when I look at it, it's a contract league. And when I look at it at the end of the season, Nick dropped a player that was like $30 some, and he picked up a $2 Tua that he can contract for $2. So I guess in the long run, it might benefit you in the future.
I am smart.
Man.
And I noticed you cut me off. You don't want to. You don't want to go into.
Go ahead. Yeah, we can
bring up the
continue on the
drama.
conversation, Miranda, if you like to.
That is at a video at the end.
Oh, okay.
So maybe we wait.
Maybe we wait. My mom's gonna be pissed. She has not stopped talking about how we how we just threw her out there in front of America.
Talking to America here. Nick, we appreciate you joining. Anything else you want to add before you get on out of here?
Well, Justin, I could tell you the story about how you were kind of, a little making a strategy in my league, if you want to go in there, but I think I will be, I'll be the better person, and I'll just tell my mom, Jamie, the story about it,
Strategy than Weasley. I dropped my own player and then picked him up. That's different.
Some people like to say something differently according to some of the other people I talked to in the roster. But again, to each their own. And obviously, like in the end, fantasy football is all about just having fun, getting together, talking some crud and everything else. So, it is worth that.
Nick, somebody chiming in here. We know who this somebody is, but saying, hey, this guy looks like the photo I had on my wall for a year.
Did you want me to do the pose for you then? I could do the pose for you right now.
On that note, do you have anything else you want to add about West Virginia before we get out of here?
No. Miranda, look what I have in the background. Can
Is
you see
that
what's
our
in the
hoodie?
background?
That is our
That is
I
a
don't even have one
old-fashioned
yet.
hoodie.
We have been just on the go lately. We need to
Yes.
tonight.
Well,
I'm ordering them before they're changed. I
Oh, you
want
want
an OG, the
Fair
OG
enough.
release, and then I want the new one.
Well,
Fair
obviously, Miranda, you've not seen my Snapchat because I sent it to you when I got it in the mail today.
That doesn't
I'm not
surprise me.
I'll say this. I'll regret it later. My Snapchats are like my texts. So if Cody's still listening to us, just imagine not getting a Snapchat from me until like 3 weeks later. I'll respond to a Snapchat. I'm horrible. I'm just a horrible person with communication via
It's okay.
text and social media.
The almighty Nick Fortune. Kat, what a lucky girl you are to have Nick on your wall for a year. Cody says, don't bother texting Miranda. Nick, thanks for joining, and we'll have you back on at some point.
I do appreciate it. Congrats to the 100 episodes. Always happy to help just to help out someone that needs some help and everything else like that. But I'll talk to you guys later on.
Cheers, brother.
Yep. Cheers, Nick.
Takes you 2 months to respond per Cody.
It does not. And I have been better lately.
I'm going to bring in our next guest. This guy, I have a podcast with him too. He and I are on the NFL Gambling Podcast, where we have a lot of fun picking games. We've been on a hell of a good streak. You can find him on the X app Moneyline_Mac. You can also find him on the college. I've obviously been through too many of these already.
Oh my gosh, you were about done.
You can find him on the college basketball experience with Kobe, having a party every night. Moneyline Mac, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Congrats on number 100. Glad to be able to join. I just smoked some whiskey, Woodford Reserve, little splash of ginger.
Ooh,
So
nice.
Yeah, life is good. I'm watching like 10 college basketball games in the background. So these Wednesday slates are ridiculous. They got like 100 fucking games. I can't keep track of all of them.
Yeah. Ryan did get a smoker. Did you get that for Christmas, or did you just buy it?
I did. The
Got it for
in-laws got
Christmas.
it for me. So
Nice.
they knew where my priorities were at.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah, so he's got a whiskey smoker, and he mentioned he likes throwing a little ginger in his whiskey too.
Mhm.
Miranda, a big fan of the Jameson ginger and lime. So
You gotta be.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Woodford. I love their double oak.
Double oaked.
Yeah.
That is my favorite Woodford.
So if you get a chance to grab that, if you haven't had it, get that sometime.
Yeah, we'll do. Do you like makers as well? Those are
Yeah.
probably my top two. I mean, those.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like either of those.
Right. Yeah. I'm technically part of I'm a brand ambassador of Maker's Mark, which you can sign up for free. They send you stuff every now and then. And they also put your name, once you sign up, they put your name on a barrel. And when that is aged and it's mature and ready to tap, you can actually go down there and get a bottle right from that barrel if you go down when they're tapping it.
Oh, I need to get in on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What am I doing?
Right. All right. So you mentioned those two. You got any other favorite whiskeys you like?
I like Crown. I like to splash a little bit of Canadian every now and then. In college, I think like everybody, I was a Jack Daniels guy. I think
Right.
everybody goes through a Jack Daniels phase in their life. Little Jim Beam when I was on a tighter budget. Evan Williams, I try it all. I like Jameson. I like bourbon. I like alcohol. Hey, by the way, are you wearing a suit jacket?
He is.
Yeah, you're freaking.
We sit down.
Commissioner
and I
over
look
there.
over at him. I was like, "What is going on?"
Yeah. Miranda walked in and she's like, "You're wearing a suit jacket?" I was like, "Yeah, it doesn't really fit as well as I'd like, but I'm wearing it anyway."
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Evan Williams Bottles and Bond is still one of my go-tos. Just it's cheap and it's good. I mean, you can't beat it.
No,
You mentioned that everybody goes through their Jack Daniels phase. I went through mine in one night, and I was done.
Now
One night.
tell Ryan how you were consuming your Jack Daniels.
Have you heard of a Tennessee hooker?
No, what's that? And I lived
It's a
in
shot
Tennessee
of Jack
for-
Daniels followed by a shot of pickle juice.
Oh yeah.
They
that
go,
one-
no, don't say that yet, unless you try it. I was like, this is disgusting. And then I tried it and it was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then I had like 10 of them. And then I've never had one ever again. And I don't even want to think about Jack Daniels or pickle juice. It is the worst.
You didn't take it in moderation, as they say.
It wasn't that kind of a night.
Nope. So already
Oh,
checking
man.
in, saying the Moneyline Man himself. And Nick wanted to know, how many Commander players did you draft?
I never take them because they suck. So I was trying to win. I will get into who I took and some of my good calls. I had a 500 year, so some good picks, some bad picks, and you can guess why my season kind of got derailed a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he is keeping up with 350 college basketball teams or something like that.
Yeah. It took a little bit on the back burner. I was like, let me just throw you guys on for 20 minutes, 30 minutes so I can get a little bit of who I should pick up because I don't have time to crunch these numbers.
Yeah, there you go. Well, let's hop right into it. What was let's start with the worst fantasy football call.
Not my first pick. I decided to get cute. I was like, I'm going to wait for a quarterback. And everybody knows me from our show. I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy. So I decided I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers. And he brings out that flag, Monday Night Football versus the Bills. Boom, Achilles done. I go, well, there goes my fucking season. And then I decided, well, let's go Russell Wilson. He's due for a bounce back. So I had the 2015 All-Pro team. And that's why I was 500. So, yeah, that was kind of won my season. I couldn't get the quarterback situated.
Makes sense. You should have picked up your boy Sam Howell.
To be honest, I probably should have, but I'm in a kind of a Redskins homer league, so somebody already had him.
Makes sense. Makes sense. You ended up getting Howell in one or two leagues.
I
think.
did, but towards the end of the season, he wasn't helping me for the end of the season.
Blame Ron, not Sam, or blame Sam. I'm not sure which.
Are we in the playoffs? What are you talking about?
Little sleepy Ron. How about your best fantasy football pick?
Defense. I took the Browns in the last round, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. I guess you could say Mike Evans. Death taxes Mike Evans, 1,000-yard receiving seasons, and what do you have? How many touchdowns did he even end up with? It felt like he had one or two each game, so he was my horse.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I do know that Mike Evans' anytime touchdown made me some cash because that happened almost every week. It felt like he was going to get a touchdown. It was just a matter of winning the game, even if it was the garbage time. We've both been up and down on the Bucks all year.
Yeah,
it's the NFC South, as we said today. Nothing makes sense, and what doesn't make sense is what happens.
So that means Carolina wins this weekend, everybody, and probably Atlanta. Atlanta probably wins the division somehow.
Yeah, if you get a chance, go listen to our episode on the NFL Gambling Podcast. We give out 2 round robin moneyline parlays. One was 35-1, and was it 15-1 or something like that?
Yeah, well, the late window was 15. The early one was 35. And everybody, don't worry, the Patriots were not in it. So don't worry. Even though they're the hottest team in the NFL, other than the Bears right now. It's Patriots, Bears. I think that should be the Super Bowl. If I had it
I did see on Power Rankings. I was not the only one to put the Bears at number 10. You did as well. I'm going to go ahead and assume you did that just for me, but I appreciate it.
When the Patriots beat the Jets in our final one, I'm going to slide the Patriots at 10 just to fuck with everybody.
There you go.
Oh, man.
You got Mike Evans touchdowns.
13 of them.
13 touchdowns for Mike Evans.
He's quarterback proof. I mean, he finally got Brady and then he had Baker. But even before that, with all the ups and downs of Tampa Bay, he was always consistent. So he's a beast.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anything you want to add before we get you out of here?
I got nothing, man. Obviously enjoyed doing another NFL year with you. Regular season, obviously we still got the playoffs to pick some winners, but just want to congratulate you guys. Yeah, we tried.
We got little cups. Sorry. Cheers.
I'd be a millionaire if I just stopped picking the Patriots and Panthers for so many weeks in a row. So cheers to you guys. Miranda, shout out to you for dealing with J Mark week in and week out, and happy 100, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
All right, guys. Have a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. we're going to take a little break from guests. And we got another video. You got a lot of catching up to do. I'm down to 2 whiskeys.
I think I've identified all of ours.
You think you've identified all? I think I've identified all. Do we want to jump into that now?
No, I need to drink a little more before I can rank them.
Okay, that's fair. I think I have mine ranked. I think I have them identified. It'll be interesting if I have one wrong and I ranked it higher than I would have expected I would rank that. But we've had some good moments on Old Fashioned Football. We've had some fun. This video, it's got some shorts we've thrown together. It's got just some moments that we have thought were good, I guess. Unfortunately, our blooper reel that we had from before we were doing video got corrupted somehow.
Yes, that's such a shame.
It is. It was a lot of Miranda going, cut that. You're going to cut that. Hang on. Cut that. Yeah, cut that.
I don't get that opportunity anymore. When we're live, I just have to roll with my stupidity if I say something stupid.
Actually, before we do that, should we introduce our guest since he just popped on because it's late for him?
Yes,
and
let's do it.
He needs
Let's bring him in
bedtime.
early.
Right.
He needs bedtime.
He needs bedtime.
All right. Our next guest, you can find him on the X at Adam Pelletier. I would say he probably likes me a little more than you. I said Cody earlier was my number 1 fan. Adam.
This might be your number 2.
Yes. He is SGPN's managing editor, Dawn of Bills Mafia. Let's bring in Adam Pelletier.
Adam, how you doing?
Hello.
Uh-oh, we can't hear him.
Hold.
We can't hear you, Adam.
For some reason.
There we go. How's my
There.
favorite fantasy football couple?
Now we hear him.
I mute it manually on the back end, so that way people don't see the awkward mic that shows up there.
All I can
you
say
guys,
is when you leave, please don't hit end stream.
no guarantees. No guarantees. I'm notorious for doing that.
Do you
Cody-
have that power right now?
Yes, I do. I have the power to do that
Okay.
to anybody stream at any time. It's a great power. With great power comes great responsibility. So, yeah, you guys have been doing a great job. Cody is angling to have his streams ended early. If I can end draft day early, I can end the NASCAR gambling podcast early.
There you go. So how you doing, man?
We're good, man. 3 playoff appearances in fantasy football this year, 2 championships appearances, and 2 second place finishes and 1 third place finish. So not a great year, not a terrible year, but plus money.
Yeah.
So we're good.
My mother loves your Bills hat. She is a Bears fan, but she really likes the Bills and Josh Allen. She
As
drafted
she
a lot
should.
of Bills.
As she should. Kathy Mark, a woman of impeccable taste. Mama Mark, we love you too.
So
I'm sure she's smart and also likes Miranda more than you, Justin.
She probably. Miranda, you're on the clock on our new dynasty. Cody wanted you to know. Will you go and make your pick? He says.
Will I make my pick?
Well, I ask Adam. I know you were on a little hiatus of drinking for a while, but what's your favorite whiskey?
My favorite whiskey. My dad actually turned me on to the Evan Williams Honey.
Ooh, yeah.
I know that's it's an interesting choice, but it is really good. Also goes great in eggnog for those of y'all who
Really
partake at the holidays.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to try that. Hard to go wrong with Evan Williams, especially with the price. That's for sure.
And hard to go wrong with eggnog. I mean, everybody loves eggnog.
Once a year. I like it once a year, and that's about it.
I mean, I'd drink it all year long if I could. But I'm a lush, so.
There you go. Give us you were in our listener league. We'll go ahead and blame Matt for the fact that you lost. But give us your best fantasy football take this year and your worst.
I mean, the best was clearly no Packers receiver in the top 30. I mean, what's his face?
You'd bring that up.
What's his face barely snuck in there at 28, and that's just barely by the skin of his teeth. I think I nailed that. I think I nailed that prediction pretty right on. And my biggest miss of the year, Sean Tucker. Oh, hands down. I was all aboard the Sean Tucker train. I was like, you idiots drafting Rachaad White. And then Rachaad White had an absolutely great year.
Yeah.
I was wrong, but
Yeah.
the process is there. And this is the thing, Justin, I think I told you this. I tell this to everybody, especially in the fantasy space when you're starting out. The biggest thing is what's your process? What's your logic, and is your process and logic repeatable? And anybody who's, breaking into this space, that's my biggest advice is, what are you doing for your process to stand out? And I think Justin and Mer, that's something y'all do very well. You talk through the processes, you share that really well, and you just have fun, but you own where your process was right. You own where your process was wrong. You tweak it, and you're willing to have that honest discussion. And I think that's something y'all do very well. And I applaud y'all for that.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. And sometimes our process of talking it through is arguing, but it happens.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that this was fantasy croquet. This is fantasy football. There is yelling and arguing that's going to happen during games.
There was some yelling last week.
Yes, over Joe Flacco versus Kyler Murray.
Anytime you co-manage a team, and anyone out there who hasn't done it, 10 out of 10, don't add new league solo. Co-manage with your friends and your loved ones. It's a lot more fun. I co-manage a team with my dad. I co-manage a team with 2 of my best friends. I co-manage another team with a best friend. It's great. It's a riot, y'all. Your group messages have more substance now, because it's now, oh, I think this person, and then it's, no, you're a damn idiot. Why did you pick him? It's great.
Cody would like to know, is there fantasy croquet? He's in so many fantasy football leagues, he probably would join it.
Cody probably passed me for fantasy leagues this year, because I started to scale it back. I am slowly but surely working it back, because I was at like 12 a year ago, and that was just too many. I'm getting down, like, my goal is like 6.
Adam, he's only in 55.
Cody?
Yeah.
Cody.
That's
And he
not
just
healthy,
started a
Cody.
new one that we're currently drafting in.
That's not healthy. When he was on our show and first said that,
That's painful. I know how bad double digits was.
When he was first on our show, he said that, and my dad said, does he just have no life? I was like, no, he's got a full-time job. He's got a wife and kid. And he goes, does he not like them?
No, he loves them. Cody is a fantastic husband and dad. Okay. I will
But it
always
sounds like a
advocate
lot.
that for Cody.
Well, he has his spreadsheet, and he may obviously. I don't know how.
works for him. Listen, some people find that enjoyable, and that's great. And I love that Cody.
How do you go through and set that many? Like, you
I don't
gotta
know. I struggle
do
with
the waivers in that many leagues. That's just like
I struggle as it is. I struggle as it is. I'm going to be honest. I struggle as it is. Yes, Cody and I bonded. I think it was last year. We talked about his daughter's emerging softball talent, and I used to coach softball, so I enjoy hearing how Cody's daughter's doing on the softball diamond.
Nice, very nice. Do you have any questions for Adam?
I don't know. We asked him his best and worst, and he got his whiskey.
Is Evan Williams honey? Though he did partake in the Keeper's Heart at the Fantasy Football Expo.
Yes,
he enjoyed that. I remember that.
I enjoyed it all. The Fantasy Expo is a lot more fun when you can imbibe alcohol.
That's right.
As I drink a soda right now.
We're looking forward to the Fantasy Football Expo next year as well. So
I'm working on finding us some ringers for the flag football game. We can't have that disappointing performance again.
It was not the quarterback's fault. I will say that.
Man, it's never the quarterback's fault.
No.
There you go. Maybe we can get Brian Scott to come be our quarterback.
We're gonna get a better quarterback than him. We're gonna have some of our other spring football connections come in better than Brian Scott. No disrespect meant to Brian Scott.
There are none. I'm gonna stick up for him, especially with the jersey hanging up there. Posted it earlier today. If y'all haven't seen it, go check it out. Kirk Ford checking in saying, "You look like Josh Allen's brother."
That is the most flattering thing. That is the second most flattering thing anyone has said to me today, just so we're clear. Second most flattering thing.
What was the first most?
I'm going to keep the first most flattering thing a secret, because it is a yet to be announced project, but it was a very flattering thing. I'll send Justin the screenshot of it, and he'll laugh.
Right, fair enough. All right, Adam, thank you for joining. Thank you for all the support you give us, because behind the scenes, you're always giving a ton of support. You're always there when we need some help. You're always there to kind of help steer us if we need it. So we super appreciate that. It's not, I know everybody thinks it's Sean and Kramer that are turning all the wheels, but you're behind the scenes helping turn them as well.
I like being behind the scenes. It's a lot quieter back there.
All
I got to do is make sure everybody's doing the right things and make sure the ad reads and writing's going out in the right order.
And as Kramer once said to me, I think it was when I was in there and we brought you up, he said, everybody needs an Adam in the corner. because he's a nice dude, but he's like a pit bull when you need him, or a bulldog or something. But everybody needs an Adam in their corner. And I 100% agree. Everybody needs an Adam in their corner. So thanks for being in ours, man. We appreciate it.
Of course. And just real quick, Justin and Murr, I just
Yeah.
want to say congratulations, y'all. Thank you very much for all the work that you've done. I think you guys have done an amazing job. I think you're doing a spectacular job raising the bar for fantasy content in the space in general. I think a husband-wife duo is spectacular. Y'all bring some genuine chemistry to the table, and y'all make people laugh. You enjoy the game, and you're real, you're honest, and you're direct. And I've just been flattered to watch y'all grow. As I remember, we had a conversation, what was it, 2 years ago at the USFL playoffs when I told Justin, I said, when are we getting her? Because she's funnier and better than you. And she was hesitant at the time. I remember this. She was very hesitant. We were in Canton, Ohio. And I was like, no, Murr, you need to do this. You're going to do great. You're going to be spectacular. And she was hesitant. And then later that year, here she is.
Here I am.
World-renowned superstar, fantasy football expert, Miranda Mark.
That's right. Now 100 episodes later, here we are.
There we go. Speaking of later, you guys got your save the date, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Good. Just making sure.
We are excited. We're excited
As
for
you
it.
should be. It's going to be a grand old time.
Yes.
It's going to be a grand old time.
Perfect. Well,
So-
thanks for stopping by. We appreciate
Of course.
Yes,
Thank you guys for everything you've been doing. Keep up the great work. Proud of y'all, and just excited to see what y'all continue to do in the off season, and just excited for y'all to keep being the awesome people that you are.
We'll try.
All right. See y'all.
Cheers.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.
All right. Let's go ahead and you want to roll that video now of some of our funny moments and everything.
Yeah, I
saw
have
Adam-
no idea what this is going to be like.
I know. I saw Adam pop in, and I thought, he's on the East Coast. It's a little bit later for him, so let's pop him in now and get him on out of here so he can go to bedtime, even though he's drinking a soda right before bed. Adam, that's not healthy, man. But thank you for not ending the stream as you left, which
Yes,
did
he
happen
did
on
do that
draft
to
day.
us.
I was on with Kramer during draft day. Kramer and Andrew Robb, and Adam was there as a guest, and he was leaving. I think he had to go to work, go to school. And he goes, "Oh no, wrong button." And then it was just end
boom.
stream. It said your live has ended. And we're like, oh no, is Adam working for corporate gambling? But he paid towards the charity to make amends. So all was forgiven. So yeah, let's roll this video of some kind of funny moments.
But the Texans, what am I doing?
Sounds like an
So-
ancient civilization. The Tekkens.
Tekkens.
Like the Aztecs and
The
the Tekkens.
Tekkens.
They were mortal enemies until the Aztecs took the Tekkens out. And the Tekkens had to move to Houston and change their name to the Texans to go in hiding. Pretty sure that's how it went down.
Tune in.
Clearly, it's
every
been a
week
day for both
your
of us. Your
history lesson
That's
from
right.
Justin.
That's right. And this is a guy that 3 years ago, if you could get him for $1, you would have won your draft probably.
He's not on my list. I don't have faith in him.
I know you don't. I know.
It
That's
was
why I
ugly
figured you'd
last
laugh.
year.
I figured that's why you'd laugh at me. But I think that was more of
You
Nathaniel
have-
Hackett.
You have Russ Wilson on your list, but you don't have Lamar Jackson.
Correct. I have disbelief in Lamar Jackson this year, and I'm sticking by that. I told you part of my list is gut.
Russ Wilson finished 16th last year. My number 4 is Josh Jacobs.
The guy that won't even play?
He didn't say he's just holding out right now. The Raiders want to make it right with him. He's gonna sign. Something's gonna happen. They're not gonna get rid of one of the best backs in the league because he is.
Oh no, it is the Raiders. They do a lot of dumb shit.
That just is stupid. It's stupid.
My number 5 is projected to score more points than Joe Burrow. And I'm ready for people to at me for saying $29 is too high for Joe Burrow, but $28 is okay for Justin Fields. Do I want it to be lower? Yeah, of course. He's projected more than Burrow and Herbert.
He's your number 5.
He's my number 5 at $28.
We are like days away, or any day now. We should be getting the notification that our glasses that we need to see are in.
Yeah,
I've been anxiously awaiting them.
Me too, as I got yet another headache today. And I know it's because I cannot see my screens well enough while I'm working. So I am very anxious to get them as well.
Yes, about 2 weeks ago now, we had a We took dating to another level. Dating your spouse to another level. I don't know. We had a double date at the eye doctor.
Yeah. Nothing says romance like getting the optics checked.
I think that we were highly entertaining, though. If you can only imagine me and Justin
being ourselves. I think there's quarterbacks with more upside long term in the draft. And yeah, I don't care for the move. I get it. I think the Packers won this trade because I think they were going to be divorced with Rodgers no matter what.
I think so.
It was
pretty clear that their relationship was over.
Yeah, it had gotten to that point, and gosh, I just feel like the Jets gave up too much for a guy that I don't think helps them beat the Bills, the Bengals, and the Chiefs. I don't think he keeps up with those teams. No, this has to boost Alexander Mattison, though, right?
Yeah, I assume he would take over for Cook.
Right, unless they draft somebody, I think he definitely will. He's shown flashes. A lot of people get excited about Alexander Mattison. I don't think he's a replacement for Dalvin Cook. He's serviceable, but not a replacement.
He's not a replacement. I was in a situation, it wasn't this last season, but where I had to put him in.
Yeah, because Cook was injured.
It just wasn't, it's not the same numbers, and it's not lasting.
Right, exactly. So I think we're both on the same page that Cook will probably land on another team. If he gets cut, you think the Dolphins, obviously.
I don't. I haven't even had time to think about where he would go, but I guess
just go with your gut there, the Dolphins.
Was that really my gut or just my? I don't know what you want to call it.
Go with your gut, your brain fart, whatever you want to call it. He stays fantasy relevant wherever he goes, right?
Absolutely.
As long as he's healthy.
Dan Jones is back, I think. Do you think he's back?
He's no longer Daniel Jones like he looked the first 6 quarters of play.
He's got a split personality.
Fake to Barkley to start it. Jones was looking deep. Nothing there, so he'll run it. And an athletic play to stay in bounds and pick up a first down.
Luke Johnson will be the best running back on the 49ers by the end of this season.
So like a Christian Watson would be like a wide receiver 1. That is spicy. No, that is not a rule. That is horrible. Nobody would ever say that. Christian Watson? No.
Kyle Pitts will be the tight end 1 this season. We're bouncing back. Let's ride.
Let's go, Browns! We're going to take it all the way this year. You just wait and see. We're #1, Browns! Yeah, baby! Woo, woo, woo!
So Aaron Rodgers is going to lose his job to Zach Wilson or me. I don't care. But he's going to go to California where he's back from, and he's going to become an adult film star because he already said on Hard Knocks, you guys have already seen what I can do. So you know what? He's going to one-up us. He's going to show us really what Hard Knocks is like.
I think Travis Kelce should be the #1 overall pick.
I will draft Travis Kelce before any of those guys. Yes, every single last one of them.
He is our host guy from Fantasy Sports Corp. At the end of this season, we're going to look at Marvin Mims and we're going to say it was all right there in front of us. The early college dominator, the Texas wide receiver yardage records, and Rusty likes to vomit down the field. All right there in front of us. Obviously, he's going to be a top 12 wide receiver.
Keeper's Heart Whiskey, amazing.
All right, we're here with the Sports Gambling Podcast Network looking for this year's 2023 hot takes, which will be Justin Fields, quarterback 1.
Yeah. People are drafting the wrong rookie running back. It shouldn't be John Robinson. Maybe Jamar Gibbs.
Yes!
Just tried Keeper's Heart. Really impressed. Really good stuff. Goes down smooth. I liked it a lot. Really good.
DJ Moore is a top 14 wide receiver.
Yeah, let's roll.
Know anything about fantasy, just cornhole. So we're going to say that Darren Wallen's going to have a big year.
Daniel Jones being drafted at 13 on the underdog, QB 13. He'll finish as QB 8 or higher this year. Book it, he's a runner.
Yeah. Brandon Ayuk will outscore Deebo Samuel and be a top 15 wide receiver.
What's up, Brian Scott, Injured List Podcast, Fantasy Sports Corporation. My take is that Brock Purdy will have a bounce-back year and pick up right where he left off last season.
Yes.
It isn't
I'm outside
weasel.
helping my mom load her car with, and you start getting into it.
When somebody's a weasel, I am going to call them out. I can't help myself. Let me break it down for you. I get a call at 9:58 from your dad's phone. It's your mother. she wants to know why she can't pick a player up. And she said the player was just dropped. And I said, okay, that's why there's a 2-day claim period. And I just thought, well, I am curious who dropped the player, who this player is. So I just went to the free agency, and there's Jahmyr Gibbs.
Fucking Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yes.
My dad drops him.
Yes. And now I looked.
Picks up
I was
for
like,
nobody. He just drops him.
I was like, okay, who did your dad drop Jahmyr Gibbs for? That's
No
what I
one.
thought. And I go and look, 9:53, 5 minutes before she calls me from your dad's phone.
She didn't drop him though.
She says,
well,
I'm not so sure.
Maybe we need to get the deets out of my desk.
What's the deal with these cherries?
It doesn't look great, does it?
No, they're large and charged, and they look like a testicle. What is going on with these?
I don't know. I find we haven't had cherries for a long time. I bought the Bordeaux cherries for this drink because that's the kind of cherry that we had in it, and they're massive.
And wrinkly, and I don't know.
Yours was on top. That was the top cherry.
Normally.
Mine's not wrinkly, but it's massive. Yeah.
I did not realize my cherry was so flat on the bottom half.
It's-
It is not a testicle; it's a squish testicle. Anyways,
Would you
go on.
stop it? Mine is wrinkly too. I saw it on the other side.
Yeah, what's with?
I don't know.
What's with the
I don't know.
wrinkles?
Okay. Did you eat your ball sack cherry?
I did. It tasted more cherry than testiculars. I think. I don't know, but
These
I
are
assume,
the biggest cherries I've seen.
Yeah, there's something, and that's not the first time she said that. Back to our Costco.
This was
We
a
haven't
Costco
mentioned
find.
Costco for a while.
Because I like, maybe it's because
I
I
made
did
an
an I
excellent
peeled the
old-fashioned.
orange peel.
You're right. That's all that made it good.
And by the time he was 26, which we said he had to mature quickly, I think for a man, that's pretty quickly. I know I didn't feel like a full adult till I was 27. And at the time, you would have been
Shots
30.
fired.
Fit on his business methods. He thought excellent whiskey was more than just a pleasant experience for the drinker. It was a way to promote good conversation, close fellowship, and the interchange of good thoughts.
There's some sort of dried fruit in the taste, but I can't. It's,
Wine?
No, well, wine. So those are some good moments. Some funny things, some bad calls, some good calls. I think it's safe to say we've definitely had a lot of fun.
I would say so.
Whether it's my sass or your sass or just having fun.
We're going to have a great time recapping this fantasy football season in the coming weeks because
As soon as the Russ
Lamar.
Wilson, Russ Wilson's on mine, but you have Russ Wilson, but not Lamar. Yeah.
you had Russ Wilson in your top 10 for QBs this season for your prediction, and you didn't have Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson finished third. Where did Russ Wilson finish?
I have no idea.
have
He's
no
not
idea.
even starting these last two games.
No.
He got benched for,
That tells you everything.
Yeah. So I guess I shouldn't give.
Fields was also not a top 10.
Well, he did get injured, but yeah, no, he was not. So I guess I shouldn't give Nick so much shit because Lamar was not on my top 10.
No.
And Russ Wilson was. There were some other good ones in there. I don't know. Just a lot of good stuff.
It's crazy seeing like all the picks and what people thought at the expo. Just
So many people, Darren Waller. So many
Yes.
people thought Darren Waller was going to be so good and all this stuff. That was one of the most common things
Mhm.
we heard. We heard Jahmyr Gibbs over Bijan Robinson. I think that was true because of coaching. I think Arthur Smith really underutilized Bijan Robinson, but when Bijan got the ball a lot, he looked really good.
Yes, which I need to go into. I shouldn't say it's my worst take for fantasy. I don't know necessarily what my worst take is, but I was way off. I'm just going to say that. And by way off, I predicted somebody would be first and they're number 2, but it's insignificant enough. It's tight end position. Sam Laporta, I already said Sam Laporta was my best call for fantasy this year. I was grabbing him in preparation for future years. He finished tight end 1. Travis Kelce, I was taking him as my first draft pick in non-auction leagues. And he did finish tight end 2.
Yeah. But he had so many
But
weeks that
there
were
were
not top 10.
Yes. And that was not like him. It was not what I expected.
Well, he just
So-
couldn't shake it off.
Look at you. So I don't know. I so thought he was going to be tight end 1. I'm not disappointed Sam Laporta is because I have Sam Laporta.
Right.
I
Yeah.
have Kelsey and Laporta in leagues.
And a lot
so-
cheaper too.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are some of the fun shorts that we did and just fun moments from episodes, some of the expo stuff, which was awesome. It was so fun at the expo. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we get to do the expo again next year. We had the weasel conversation in there. The infamous cherries were in there.
Oh man.
While we're waiting for our next guest, he said about 10 minutes or so. Do you want to start going through, like, how do you want to do this?
This is okay. So let's just take it. Like we said, if you were here at the beginning, in honor of our 100th episode, we're taking our 100 proof whiskeys. Justin brought 10 to the table. I got him talked down to 7 because 10 whiskeys on the show. First of all, I have learned it's almost like when
Mine
you
are
go
gone,
on
so I
winery
could use more.
tours. Remember, we need to bring back our annual
Can we go with
winery
whiskey?
tour.
I don't want to do wine anymore.
I haven't drank wine in
I'll drive
in a
I
while.
guess. I'll drive.
But you try too many and it's overwhelming. It overwhelms your
right.
palate. It's not
Pretty soon you don't
my
know what's good, what's not.
recommendation.
You buy a bottle because that's so good. You get home
And you
it-
wanted to have 3 more here.
yeah, I don't think it was an overkill by any means. Maybe you just drank them too slowly.
All right.
So how do you want to do this? You want me to tell you what
No.
I thought my number 1 rank was? Or
No. I want you to let's go down and let's start with your number 1. What I have in your number 1 cup.
Okay.
Tell me what you think it is.
Balcones Texas Rye.
Hold your horses.
Well, you asked.
I know, but I got to get the sheet. Jeez. Okay.
Am I wrong?
You are wrong.
Wow, I thought I had that one pegged.
So you thought it was the Balcones Texas Rye.
Yeah.
And where did you have that? Should we do our rankings after? Let's go through and identify.
Okay, well I got to write down here so I know. But what was it?
No, let's go ahead and do the rankings.
Okay.
This makes sense. This
Okay.
way.
I had it ranked 3rd.
3rd.
Yes.
Well, what you really drank was Savage and Cook's bourbon.
Really?
Finished in cab.
Uh-oh.
And so you have that ranked as your number 3 out of these whiskeys.
Yeah.
This is also really hard to rank these because these are all such great whiskeys.
Yeah, it's a little like Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
How about you? Or do you want to go through all mine, then we'll go through yours?
Whichever. What do you want to do?
Go ahead and tell me what you thought your number 1 was and
2
what
bar.
you had it ranked.
2 bar.
Incorrect.
I am incorrect. I had it ranked number 1.
Interesting. It was Savage and Cook's Rye.
Oh, well, it still fits for number
you
1.
really like that one.
I do. Oh, it was, to me, that one was the most drinkable. Like I could just sit there and sip it.
Yeah.
And that was Savage and Cook's
That
Rye.
was Savage and Cook's Rye. All right,
All
number
right.
2, I thought was Uncle Nearest's Rye.
It was 2 bar bottle and bond.
What? Oh my gosh. I have to re-rank it now. It doesn't deserve to be where I ranked it.
Oh.
Unbelievable. I had it ranked 7th. And I love 2 bars bottled in
See,
bond.
I told you, when you try this many, I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 I had is Uncle Nearest Rye.
Close. It
Is
was
Uncle Nearest
1856.
Oh my gosh.
So you were very close there.
Oh, is that a higher rye?
No, that's 100.
No.
Oh, it's an American whiskey or
I
Tennessee,
know.
But yeah,
I wonder what the mash bill is.
I'm not sure.
We need to go back and figure that out. I had that ranked number 4.
Interesting. Well, we are surprising ourselves here. Number 3 I had, which I know is incorrect. I had it as Savage and Cook's bourbon. What was it?
Balcones Texas Rye.
Really?
Yes.
See, I thought I knew Balcones taste so well. I ranked it 2nd though. It's my 2nd ranked.
I thought, okay, you're 2nd ranked.
Yep. All right, 3 for you. What do you think 3 was?
Bottle and Bond, the Foundry,
Correct.
The American whiskey malts, the collab with
you
Boulevard.
Nailed that one.
I nailed that one.
Yep.
Okay, I knew it right away. It's distinct to me. Anyone who knows me knows I'm not a huge beer drinker.
Right.
And I picked up on it right away. They nailed that collab. Like it's a good collab.
Yes.
I don't dislike it, but I prefer other whiskeys over it.
Right. None of these I dislike.
No.
I'm still shocked that I put 2 bar at 7 though, because I love that 2 bar and I don't.
That was your 7th.
Yeah. I don't drink it because we can't get it here.
I know. See, I think
but I like it a lot.
It
I mean,
depends on. So what did you try to? Let me see here. See, I put that one after a Savage and Cook. I probably shouldn't have because I think that Savage and Cook being finished in wine casks
throws a little.
throws the taste. I almost saved them for the end, but then I thought when you got to them, it would be very distinct.
Yeah.
That you were trying something finished in a wine cask.
That could be, yeah.
Because to me, well, obviously not, because I didn't pick out Savage and Cook rye as my number one, but I picked it as my number one ranked. I just didn't identify it.
Number 4 for me.
Yeah.
Foundry.
No.
You're looking at that. Look at this.
I am.
Oh, that's Uncle Near. Are you kidding me?
No, Uncle Nearest Dry.
Right.
I did too. Uncle Nearest Dry.
So. I had it ranked 4th. I still don't think you did it right. You mixed them up. What'd you have it for?
Savage and Cook.
Which one?
This would be their bourbon.
That's correct. 2 in a row for you. Damn.
I had that as my number 3.
Number 3. Sounds good. Should we bring on our guest now, or do you want to keep going through these?
We can do it. Are you going to keep track of where we are?
We're at 4 for both of us. So why don't we bring on our guest? We'll pick this up afterwards.
We'll finish the whiskey rankings.
You likely all know this guy. He's on the college basketball experience, the college football experience, the USFL gambling podcast, the XFL gambling podcast. He's on the sports gambling podcast. Is there any place he isn't? He's on Old Fashioned Football now, and he's been here before.
Yes.
In our when we talked about some college players, because nobody knows college football like this guy does. You can find him on X at the Colby D. Introducing Pick Dundee. Colby, what's going on, man?
How are you guys doing? And I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
Muted.
Oh, am I muted?
He's not muted.
Oh,
I'm muted.
You're muted.
I had you muted.
Look, my wife's had me muted for a few years now, so it's okay. It's okay.
How's it going?
Selective hearing.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing? Happy New Year. I'm working with a Lost Republic bourbon, and I'm gonna try to actually hang on one second. I'm gonna try to get rid of my background so that you can see what I am drinking here. Yes, there we go.
Ooh.
Nice.
So Lost Republic bourbon here. Now, I know you guys are big into the bourbon scene, obviously Old Fashioned Football podcast, but I also I did want to also bring on a couple other things that I drink. So I do have a few surprises. It's kind of me ad-libbing some stuff here, but have you had anyone else on here outside of the whiskey world?
Yeah.
Like
you mean guests?
Yeah. I'm saying like outside of essentially, like, I know normally you do, distillery stuff like that, vodka, like I'm talking about like cocktailing, like a Bloody Mary essentially.
No, we haven't. The only like spirits related that we've had on that's not just whiskey would be Luke Castle. He owns a store, Ace Spirits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well,
but we did have Dylan Carney with Savage and Cook, and he is known on social media as the Whiskey Jesus, and he like makes all kinds of cocktails.
And he sent us his homemade absinthe, which is pretty sweet.
Ooh,
yeah,
yes,
that sounds incredible. Well, you guys, I don't know. I feel like but I bartended for like probably 15 years before making the strong transition to Sports Gambling Podcast Network. So I just love making cocktails, and I love whiskey on the rocks, which I'll start with, but I am an Irishman. So I am going to break a cardinal rule while we're talking here, as I'm going to transition from a whiskey to a Bloody Mary.
What? It's a little late for Bloody Marys, isn't it? That's a morning drink.
You're not, I mean, aren't you Irish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
we have
too
Irish
late.
in us.
There you never go. Too late to, I don't.
Touché.
I've never really gone by rules in my life, so not gonna start now. So I'm starting off with this bourbon here, Lost Republic.
Mm-hmm.
I think I asked you the other night if you had it. So I think you hadn't, but I'm gonna have to send you some, buddy, because. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I love a bunch of the ones on the bourbon trail there, but
Where are they located? They Kentucky?
They are. Yeah, this is actually no. This one is in. How do I pronounce this town? Healdsburg. Healdsburg.
Don't know it.
Yeah, well, it's in California actually, so I'm talking out of my ass a little bit. But
the Bourbon Trail of California.
You haven't been?
No. Add it to our list.
Yep.
Yeah, you come out here, I'll take you on our Bourbon Trail. And yeah, but anyway, how you guys doing? I'm sorry to bombard your show with a bunch of shit, but I just
oh no, you're good.
Yeah.
We welcome it.
Yeah, we are doing good. We've been sampling our 100 proofs, and we had 7 of them. I brought up 10 from downstairs. Miranda said that was too many. We cut it to 7.
We're gonna
and we're blind tasting them. Like she poured mine, and my glasses are numbered. I poured hers, and we're trying to guess what they are and ranking them. So far, I don't think I've got a single one right out of 4. You've gotten 2 out of 4 correct. So obviously somebody's doing better at this than me.
I love how you said, so I went downstairs. Like, you know, have you ever seen the movie Tremors?
Yeah.
Do you remember the house with all the guns?
Yeah.
The house with all that is essentially, I know, like I do a show with J Mark come spring football season, and I just get the feeling that like when the zombies come, we're all trying to find J Mark's house. And
we do have go bags.
No, yeah, we've had go bags for.
They've got gas masks and everything for real.
That's what I'm talking about.
I just was like, okay, Justin, you do you. You just do this. I'll accept it.
We even got extra filters for our gas masks. It's not just we're not going to run out of that first filter and be dead.
If in the movie Tremors, they're all trying. Like I remember, I think it's Reba McEntire that says, "Honey," she's talking to her husband. She's like, "Honey, it's time to break out the elephant gun," right? And that's what I expect. That's what I expect. You know, if I'm running from the zombies, I'm like, I need to get to J Mark's house because they got the elephant gun. But
not only that, we can help you forage.
Yeah.
When in an apocalypse,
we know
whatever.
Quite a bit about foraging, and we got plenty of whiskey.
That's what I was wondering. So what's the look? I have a son on the way. My mother is coming.
No, congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. And my mother, who really doesn't fly, she flew out one time to in the past 5 years, but she's coming out again to see our son. So once our son gets born, God willing, and I'm trying to get rid of the big alcohol collection I have, so I don't look like Nicolas Cage in Leaving Las Vegas. And so I was curious, how many bottles do you normally work with there at say the Tremors house here? How many bottles do you got downstairs?
So
I can tell you.
Go ahead.
We did like I've been like a blanket hoarder, which I'm going to tie this into the whiskey. Don't worry. And at the beginning of the year, I was purging blankets, going through. We counted 55 like blankets, like throw blankets and just blankets. I got rid of like over half of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have not, that was on my new do not buy list this year.
I had more whiskey at the time.
We also counted, we did not purge our whiskey,
no.
But we counted and we had more whiskey bottles than blankets in the house. And whiskey also, despite our podcast, made it onto our do not buy list for 2023.
Unless it was for the
and
podcast.
We ended up finding all these loopholes throughout the year. It was like, well, we're on vacation, so the do not buy list doesn't apply.
Yeah. We gotta buy
Honey, it's a write-off. Honey, it's a write-off. Yeah. All right.
And we've had distillers send them to us.
Yeah,
we're grateful for that.
We have more,
but we're over 100.
We're well over 100.
Yeah,
we've got you covered.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm telling you, that's what. Look, I know a lot of people dream of like, when I retire, I get to Bora Bora or something. No. It's your guys' house. You know what I mean? That's my goals. It's secure. You can live off the land. All right. I did one time. J Mark here was late for a podcast, or maybe I was late for the probably me being late for the podcast, and he's like, "Sorry, I was putting in my driveway." You know what I mean? Like, or putting in some trees or doing something that I was just like, wow, this is he's doing like real man stuff. You know what I mean? Like
real man.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Loading the wood
like-
burner. I was late once because I was loading the wood burner to heat the house.
Yeah,
When we got the driveway, I was shoveling rocks onto the driveway because we finally just had the guy drop them.
And just drop it, and then we put it where we wanted
You're not
it.
doing this right. Just drop a pile there. We'll take
Mhm.
care of it.
We're really big do-it-yourselfers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I have Royal Rumble rankings for everything in life. And I have both of you being able to destroy the rest of SGPN in the Royal Rumble rankings. Just because you guys do hard labor, you're on like a farm.
Yeah.
We've been in LA apartments for a lot, not all of us, but a lot of us have, you can tell when you do the old handshake, you know what I mean? If someone's worthy
For sure.
of being, at the top of the Royal Rumble rankings. And, I think if you shake our hands, you're going to be like, yeah, we got these guys, you know what I mean? So,
love it.
But hold on. One thing I wanted to do here, I'm going to sip the whiskey and I'm going to break rules. And I do see the chat. Special shout out and Happy New Year to Kathy Mark.
That's right. A rule breaking Irishman. Who would have thunk it?
Yes. So I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. I lived in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. They call that the DMV. Have either of you been?
I have been. I've been to the stadium there to see Guns N' Roses, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
The FedEx are we talking about? What are we talking about? What stadium?
Who are the Commanders? The Redskins
Yeah,
stadium.
yeah.
It's
Thank
FedEx
you.
Field
Thank
now.
you.
I don't know.
Thank you. If I'm going to be a guest on your show, I appreciate that. Okay. So did you spend some time in Maryland, maybe along the ocean by chance?
Did not make it there. No.
Okay.
I was with some buddies and we were fly fishing some trout streams. So we were more kind of up in the mountains, kind of wake up, you hear the bear walking on the paveway and you look out your tent and you're like, I'm sure he won't bother us. That type of deal.
Gotcha. By the way, I can tell you a story off air of me bartending on Guns N' Roses.
Really?
Yes. For the most part, I think like 80% of the band.
Yeah.
But,
that's awesome.
So we got to bring you over. We have to do a meet and greet at some point in DC or Maryland. But if people listen to this, they might be able to know that Maryland seafood, I would argue, over New Orleans all day, right? Maryland crabs. We do the Old Bay seasoning. Have you guys ever had Old Bay seasoning by chance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, one thing my brother did for me, because I haven't been back in a while, and he lives in North Carolina now, NC Nick. I host the college football experience with him. And he sent me, he has to go to Maryland a lot for work. So I had told him that I had saw this and I have got to try this, but he had sent me Old Bay vodka, right?
Oh my goodness.
From Maryland, right?
Interesting.
So I mean, I honestly, this is how much I love Old Bay. I could just go old school like this. Like Paulie from Rocky. I could do that. But and because I love Old Bay, I love that flavor. They actually have it in like Lay's potato chips forms in Maryland. But one of the things I love to do is for a Bloody Mary, as I'm going to concoct the Bloody Mary as we're talking now. And I'm an extreme fan of spice. That's why I walk around with heartburn. And what I do is with my Bloody Marys, I pretty much throw as much spice as you can find into the Bloody Mary.
Okay.
So
note to self, Colby would love my Carolina Reaper salsa.
Yes, probably. There's only a couple that go so far on the other side of the fence to me, like Dave's Insanity. Have you ever had Dave's Insanity?
I don't think so, but I've had some that are too far.
Yes.
We made this one out of Carolina Reapers and tomatoes we grew. And it's like the perfect, like, oh my God, that's really freaking hot.
But then it's like, oh,
but it's
this
a nice
is really,
taste.
it's good.
Yeah.
Because it's my mom's salsa recipe. And you had the Reaper plant, and we got 3 Reaper peppers off of it this year. And
Threw them in all a half.
he wanted to make this, and I don't want to waste my tomatoes on a salsa nobody can eat. But we made a smaller batch, but it was actually really
Turned
good.
out really good.
Really good.
So next year, a bigger batch.
Part of I'm gonna send you guys. Can I send you guys crop to grow and just send it back to me?
Sure.
Because that's what I'm saying. I don't think you guys realize it. I've been in LA so long that I'm like, I dream of like just like a 4x8 area to just do something like that. But yeah, I mean, I love spice. One of the things though that I'm 40 and I used to not have heartburn, so I fight it. I fight it all day. Because people say, oh, you have heartburn, you shouldn't have this, and I go, I am, as you can imagine, they're still the Washington Redskins to me, so I fight it hard. All right, but yeah, so I throw Tabasco. I pretty much though, if I did this perfectly correct, like if I was back bartending, I would actually grab like a habanero pepper or something and cut it up and dice it up and throw it in there. But essentially, I'll throw in Tabasco, but I also even throw in like, I don't know if you guys have this. This is kind of like a Mexican thing.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Colby thinks we live way out in the middle of nowhere. Thinks we don't have Tahine or Old Bay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, Old
when we
Bay,
take the mules,
most
to the grocery
Californians
store.
don't even know Old Bay. Most Californians, I'm like, you don't put Old Bay on your seafood. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? So I throw that all together, right? And I'm actually it's not going to be as good as I could make it, because one of the things I would like to do is I even will throw I'll even cut up one little tiny thing of garlic, throw it in there,
nice.
right? Yeah. And I'll also get the olives going. Like I don't have all that at my house. I just have it's somewhat nice, but it's not like I've worked at some really nice bars before, so it's like they had more stuff coming in. So
yeah, sure. Would you wear gloves while you cut the jalapeno?
No,
Step up.
but I can kind of make the rules. At a hotel, when I worked at the hotel, I would have to. But another thing I like to do is a little bit of lemon juice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so then you concoct yourself this lovely Bloody Mary.
Nice.
And I highly encourage people, if they haven't had Old Bay vodka, because like I said,
I didn't either.
I didn't know it was a thing either. My brother, like I said, I'd seen it like in the past, a year ago. If you had asked me that question, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
But as someone that loves Old Bay, it's like a Bloody Mary, but with an Old Bay finish, and it's absolutely fantastic. So
nice.
I next time my brother goes up there, or if I visit, because my brother relocated to North Carolina, I'll have to get you guys one.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Do a little Old Bay and a little bacon fat wash bourbon.
Yeah.
Bloody Mary.
Woo.
Yeah.
Now you guys in the Midwest, I know that I'm making a pretty arrogant comment by saying Milwaukee and Iowa are close together.
Well,
5.5 hours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ish. Yeah.
The Bloody Marys I've had in Milwaukee or Wisconsin in general are almost too much, but I still appreciate that they care that much about alcohol. Do you two like Bloody Marys?
Yeah.
I do a lot more than you do. But
I enjoy it once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
The things I saw in the great state of Wisconsin, which I do appreciate the amount of alcohol the great state of Wisconsin puts down.
Right.
I did last time I was there, it was like a month before COVID. And I did a comedy show and I went and saw the Packers play the Redskins. But I was in Milwaukee doing stand up, and some fans of the college experience happened to show up there like more than I ever get in LA. And they took me to a couple different bars. Shout out to Landon Renard and a few other fans that took me to a few. But first off, they took me to a bar where you could it was like the series Deadwood or something. You can pour the bottle, meaning like you show up and you say, "Hey, you have your bottle on the shelf." They give it to you, and it's like you've been renting space essentially. And boom, and Jeffrey Dahmer's bottle is still there.
Really?
A Jameson bottle from Jeffrey Dahmer which is kind of creepy, but at the same time, that's the drinking culture. They actually still have it up there. But I experienced that, and then I went to have their Bloody Marys the next day. Their Bloody Marys, they put like a cheeseburger in their Bloody Mary. It's actually, it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
No, we got like Bloody Marys here. You'll get like a celery stick. You'll get a bacon or a beef jerky stick with an olive, a pickle, a pepper,
sometimes they're like
cheese.
$24, but you get a meal with it.
Can we talk about this for a second? How do we feel? I love the olive thing. I'm a big fan of olives. I love the pepper in the Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
I'm even okay with the cheese, even though I don't think I would necessarily need it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But the cheeseburger, throw in a cheeseburger or beef jerky.
Yeah.
Now bacon, I'm in.
Bacon is
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
the bacon ones.
Yeah.
So where do you draw the line is the question. Where is it like what's that?
Some sides with it are okay. A full meal with it, not needed. Like you get the big pork loin in one place. You remember seeing that? That's in Iowa. It comes with literally a giant pork loin on top of it. Not needed.
Yeah.
If I want a pork loin, I'll order a pork loin.
Exactly. It's like now we have a competition. I feel like going on, at least in my mind, where every place you go to, and I found this to be kind of big in the Midwest. Not only Wisconsin, but I went to a few places in Chicago and stuff where it's like they're in a like a dick measuring contest for who can put the most shit in a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just kind of love Bloody Marys. I don't need all this stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we're getting a little crazy now.
Yes.
You know, I was okay with a couple things, but now I feel like we're Thelma Louise. We're driving off the fucking Grand Canyon here. But I don't know. I'm curious your thoughts. But anyway, so I made this. I know I'm breaking rules. I have whiskey and I have Bloody Mary, but I wanted to cheers 100 episodes.
I'm out of alcohol, but
You
cheers.
can sip on one of mine.
I'll drink.
That's the
one of
problem
yours.
when you put me as the last guest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or I put myself as the last guest. Either or. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, and
Well, we appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
I feel like I was sort of getting the podcast stuff down because we had started our show and whatnot. But when I joined the XFL Gambling podcast with you and CJ, I feel like what I learned from that was comfortability behind the mic, because you guys are so good at just being comfortable and just being yourselves. You don't care what the hell you say. You don't care how you sound when you say it, and people love it. I mean, you guys are hysterical, and I feel like I learned, even you mentioned that you could tell like I was starting to just get kind of a different vibe or comfortability. And I truly think that a lot of that was working with you guys because you're both so good behind a mic.
Well, thank you. I will clip that and send that to my wife and my mom and say, told you all those. I told you I have talent, but no, man. I mean, look, I try to tell this to anyone, like anyone, you know, if you start off just doing anything, whether it's shooting a free throw, you're not going to be good. You know what I mean? I don't think we have this exceptional talent. I appreciate the gesture, but I just think we've also thrown our face inside of a mic or in front of a mic, not inside of a mic, I don't think, but
maybe
for a long time. And to me, the more you do it, the more, but I do strongly believe in be yourself. And I can, you know, I just think that sells in general. I think when you turn on the TV, you see a lot of people that are not themselves, that are trying to impress their bosses. And don't believe in that formula. I don't believe in that formula. I just think you have to be yourself and let the chips fall where they may. And that's why I think this show, I was telling my wife about the show pre-episode. And I was saying, it's you two, husband and wife doing a show, getting guests on and talking football, but yet also promoting, whiskey / distilleries, I guess. And I think it's an awesome idea. And I think it's only grown and it's going to grow more. And she even said, well, first off, my wife, Colombian, she said, does she drink whiskey? Because my wife
said,
goes,
like a fish. Oh.
yeah. And because my wife goes, oh no, if like they, I'll have wine or rum. You got to remember, she's from Colombia. So whiskey, like me introducing her to whiskey, she's still just like, what? Why would you get I'm on fire. You know what I mean? Why would you do this?
Right.
There's no sugar. I mean, there is sugar in it. That's what I try to tell her. I go, there is sugar in here.
Yeah.
It just tastes different than rum. But anyway, she was like, I think that's a hit. That's a hit of a podcast. It has me intrigued, and I don't even know anything about football. So,
well, thank
you.
I thought the idea was great, and I think you guys got something, and got something from the podcast form, but also obviously husband and wife. Congrats! How many years have you guys been married?
11 and some months.
Oh, so
11 years.
Not only am I using the Tremors house, I am calling you guys because I'm only. What, 3 years now?
Yeah.
Just about 2. Yeah. So 2.5 years, 3 years. So any advice? I'm going to be calling J Mark. You might want to just go ahead and block my number now because I break rules. I don't pay attention to hours. And if it might be 4 a.m. And so anyway. But no,
my
show
advice
awesome.
is learn to say, yes, honey, you're right.
I'm on that. There we go.
Yeah, just
There we
communication.
Communication.
Real
is-
advice is just communicate.
Communication is key. By the way, my mother says, Happy New Year, Colby. You will be a great dad.
Thank you. And
my dad, he likes barbecue vodka. I don't know if you've had that before.
I have not. And see, this is, and I'm curious your guys' take on this. I bartended for so long. Prior to bartending, I was kind of just, I would get drunk like an idiot, but I would, I kind of love everything. People always ask me, like, what do you choose? And I go, it depends on my mood. Like, so I have a one day it might be a margarita. The next, I would say whiskey is majority of the days. But I kind of like everything. Is there anything that you two don't touch?
Tequila for the most part.
Tequila is only Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, tequila's only on Cinco de Mayo.
Some mean margaritas.
Homemade margs over here are really good. I don't know.
What about mezcal? Is mezcal off that list then?
Ooh, mezcal is really good in an old fashioned. There's some specific restaurants that make a mezcal old fashioned, and it is phenomenal for somebody that doesn't like. I know that's not true tequila, but for somebody that doesn't really like tequila, the smokiness of mezcal makes a really good old fashioned.
We've had some really good ones.
Yeah.
See, for me, the only thing that is out of bounds, I think, is champagne.
Yeah.
I'm not. Champagne is New Year's Eve. That's it. Well,
I don't even like doing that, to tell you the truth. I was at New Year's Eve the other night and a dinner, and someone gave me that, and I was just like, thank you.
I didn't finish. I think I gave mine. I did the cheers with everybody.
Yeah. And then
and I took a drink after the cheers, but then I passed mine to somebody.
We used to drink quite a bit of wine, and we really don't drink wine anymore.
Not since we started this podcast.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
For me, it's almost always whiskey. But kind of to your point,
I still love wine. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm saying but yes. Anyway, continue on. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, kind of to your point though, you said it depends on your mood. Whiskey is that for me. Like so many times people, oh, you have a podcast? What's your favorite whiskey? It's like, I can't just pick one favorite whiskey. Every different night I could be wanting something a little bit different in the whiskey that I'm having. So I mean, that's just for me, rather than having like different types of alcohols, I just have different whiskeys that I like.
Especially when we get into all these craft distilleries, all these craft.
Some of the craft distilleries are
Yeah.
amazing. Your aunt wanting to know if you passed the champagne to her underage daughter. I think that's what she asked.
I heard
I get my lips are sealed.
But yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot of vodka unless it's a Bloody Mary. Rum, I guess, would be mine. I don't think I go for
Pina coladas with the
No.
floaters of Myers Dark.
If we're in Florida, we gotta have pina coladas with the floater of Myers Dark.
Yeah.
So I mean,
there's always a place and time for a pina colada.
There
like
is.
I said, you think I think you might have the perception, especially J Mark here, of you think probably I wouldn't like that. I do, and now. Now I will say this. See, have you? And I'm curious. I'm going to ask you two this. Have you found your? I spent so many years bartending that I kind of went in like I started out. If you probably were to look at I probably started bartending at like 23 years old, right? I went all the way till I was like 38, right? And I hated gin from the start. Hated gin. Hated vodka unless it was a Bloody Mary, right?
Mm-hmm.
And over time, I guess you could probably throw tequila at a certain point in there, probably right around there, but with the exception of margaritas. And over time, because I was bartending, I would get like introduced. I worked at some really big time places in Beverly Hills and stuff, and you get introduced to like unbelievable stuff. You know what I mean? You'd have really rich people buy you something. And I worked at a family owned restaurant at one point in my life where they would let me consume. They would say, if someone goes to buy you can have it. And I was like, really?
Nice.
All right. I can be a hell of a salesman.
Right.
But no, I tried. So it kind of ended up getting educated on gin, tequila, and gin, tequila, and vodka. So prior to that, I was kind of just like a rum and Coke or whiskey Coke or whiskey on the rocks type of guy.
Yeah.
But that now I find myself, like I said, I think whiskey's the number one seed if I had to like an NCAA tournament here. But I actually have really learned to appreciate the others, but especially vodka. I didn't ever thought I think I would be a vodka guy, but I end up drinking vodka rocks if it's good vodka. If it's bad vodka, you can really miss. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas I feel like whiskey, you could still we could have a bad whiskey, and I'd still be like, I'm fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we could do this. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you enter the vodka world, you get a bad vodka, you could end up, taking the whole place hostage. But anyway, that's for me, and that's when. So when J Mark said he hates vodka, I would actually, like I said, I'm going to try my best, and I want him to hold me to this as we enter the spring football season. But I'm going to try my best to get him on the. I'm going to send this, but also there are certain vodkas that I think are fantastic. That I think
Is UV Blue one of them?
UV. Why do you? First off, have they been on the show before? Okay.
No, we brought him up. We brought him up earlier because we were talking about absinthe, and my first experience with absinthe was in college. You're supposed to mix it with water. We were dumb college kids, and we said mix with water. Let's try UV Blue. The night did not end well.
Yeah. See, that's what I was. I was going to bury them, but I didn't know if they were like a previous guest of the show. No. So I was like, wait a second, I can't. But I'll say this: how about moonshine? How do you two feel about moonshine?
Yeah, I mean, we've had some good moonshine.
We've tried some.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know a lot of different moonshines though.
No, but your parents' neighbor at their cabin makes some homemade moonshine that was pretty good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We have a fan of on SGP named Weehawk on Twitter. Shout out to Weehawk, who sent us, and maybe we could. Now I don't know if this was. I think I have to do a deeper dive on if this was his own concoction but he lives in the hills of the Carolinas, over by Tennessee, I think Cullowhee, North Carolina, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I hadn't had moonshine since college, and I purposely would avoid it because of my experiences in college. All right. And you got to remember, in college, you kind of just drink anything, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
I didn't know that there was actually like, I mean, I guess I just always thought, no, that's straight alcohol. I don't want it. Right.
Right.
Well, he sent us some without us really asking. He was just like, hey, I'm sending you guys a gift. It was, and he told me it was going to be a Western Carolina. He's by the University of Western Carolina. He's like, I'm going to send you a Western Carolina t-shirt. And I thought he was only sending us that. And I thought that was very nice. But then I open up the box and I get a thing of moonshine, of shine, he calls it.
Shine,
and I didn't even know how to properly drink it because I was, the last time it was like, oh, a bunch of college kids. We're just,
right from
shooting
the
it
mason
like
jar.
idiots. Yeah. So he sent it in a mason jar too. And it had an X. It's still in the studio, actually. It has an X on the top of it, but it's actually really good. Like it's really good. So I'm going to see maybe if he could, I want to know if he concocted this or, created this thing.
Yeah.
Made this himself, but also maybe we can send you guys a batch because as our connoisseurs, as our alcohol connoisseurs, I would love to maybe we can even get him on. Who knows if he made it? Maybe we can. If not, then damn it, we'll find out who made it.
That's right. I keep telling Miranda I need a little still to make my own shine, and I think she's worried I'm going to drink the heads or tails, which they say will make you blind. According to my dad, I've had real Tennessee moonshine. I actually remember that now.
Yes.
One of his drivers brought it.
Yes.
Wait, according to your dad, like you were a child and like he's just like he's crying again. Give him the bottle. Give him the bottle.
He's teething. This helped me as a kid. One of his drivers brought it from Tennessee, and it was real moonshine. I remember that now.
Was that when we got engaged?
It might have been.
I think it was. Yeah. Because my grandma was going back for more. Was that the moonshine?
I don't remember.
Or was that a different moonshine?
I don't know. So apparently we've had more moonshine than I originally remembered. All the moonshine we've had has made my memory bad, I think.
No, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thankful for the moonshine that I had because it deleted my memories too. And like I said, not the recent moonshine. The recent moonshine actually is quality, but I'm glad. I think one time I woke up in bushes, which, checking out the mulch. I'm a big fan of mulch. You know what I mean? So, moonshine.
Yeah.
Drink moonshine if you like mulch.
Excellent selling point. Colby, thanks so much for popping on. We appreciate it. We appreciate your support. I'm stealing another one of yours because I drank the other one while Colby was talking. Sorry.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do that. Cheers now.
Hey, there we go. There we go. And I Irishman here. Ready? I'm gonna
double fisting.
There we go.
We'd love to have you back on the off season to talk college football players that the fantasy football community should keep their eye on.
We've got to pick your brain for your knowledge.
Anytime, and I appreciate your guys' work ethic. Like I said, 100 episodes in, it's fantastic, and I think it's only going to get stronger and stronger. Just like anything else you do in life, the more repetition you do it, the better you're going to become. And every once in a while, I go like down a dark alley of the internet of saying like. Most times I don't pay attention to my comments or people that are, commenting on our stuff. But occasionally I'd say like once or twice a year, I don't know what leads me down this alley. And I'm Googling sports gambling podcast, college experience. And, you go deep into the web and then I go deep into the web. And for me, you gotta remember, I'm terrible on a computer. So like deep in the web is like probably just like the most normal website. But I always see J-Mark repping SGPN, man. And I appreciate that, man. As someone, we started this thing a long time ago, and I just think that to me, it's not everyone stays that hungry and hardworking to me. And I appreciate that. So thanks for having me on the show. And anytime you guys want me back, let me know.
We will for sure.
We'll have you back. Cause I remember last time you talked about Chase Brown and how good he was last year. And I've got him in a lot of dynasty leagues, and I'm excited from what I've seen the second half of the season from him.
And I'm not sure if we had the conversation, but as a former East Carolina Pirate myself, I tried to tell people that Keaton Mitchell was going to be a good player.
Yeah.
Trying to tell people he wasn't even drafted. He wasn't even drafted, but I was like, he's got speed that I've not seen. But maybe we got another one of those or two coming in the NFL draft time.
Let's see who you compare to LeBron James this time, because last year it was Anthony Richardson. That's a spicy take.
We need time on our side, right? Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate you and appreciate the work you do. Happy New Year, and yeah, keep rocking, because I think you guys got something great going.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Colby, thank you.
Thank you.
See you, man. Take it easy.
Take care. Likewise.
All right. You want to continue our list, and then we'll get on out of here.
Wrap it up.
I'm on the clock again. Cody says in the dynasty.
He's good.
Cody, I apologize. My phone did just die, but after the show, I'll get it plugged in. Jake says, we believe. All right. We were at number 4. We had both gone through number 4. You guessed yours correctly as Savage and Cook Bourbon. So I'm going to go number 5, and I guessed Uncle Nearest 1856. Did I get one right yet?
No.
Not even close.
Foundry Bottled and Bond.
What? Oh, I marked that I got Foundry right, but that was you that got it right.
I got the Foundry right.
Wait,
do you know your whiskeys?
Yeah. No, apparently not.
No, your number 5 was Foundry Bottled and Bond. And what did you rank it as?
5.
5.
Yes. All right. What did you guess for your number 5?
Balcones.
Correct.
Texas Rye. The second I tasted that,
I thought I knew it so
it's like the tobacco leather.
Yeah.
Like
I got that from Savage and Cook's Bourbon for some reason.
Well, this is
your Savage and Cook Bourbon is it says 9 now, because you decided to spill number 3 and 4 ahead of time. So I grabbed 8 and 9 that we were going to do.
Balcones.
Wait. Oh.
That just tastes like Texas.
It does. Yeah, I think you mixed mine up.
I didn't.
That's my excuse.
Wrote it as I went, so there's no way I could mix it up.
Balcones, sounds like we're nailing down a time here, but sounds like they're going to be on February 13th. We're really excited to talk with them. I know Zach Cavello, our listener, Zach Cavello, was excited to ask some specific questions about Texas whiskey, because they got some really unique rules to be able to call it a Texas rye like Balcones does. Is it my turn? Number 6?
Yeah.
Savage and Cook Rye.
No. Uncle Nearest 1856.
Maybe I wrote these wrong.
Oh,
that's yours.
Yeah.
I ranked it number 6.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. Uncle Nearest. I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, number 6.
And you thought it was a Savage and Cook?
Apparently. My taste buds must be off. Maybe I'm sick.
This is why you get like a Snickers bar out of your whiskey sometimes, because you're over there not even tasting what's in the whiskey.
I guess that's true. What did you guess for your number 6?
Well, I know that you said my number 1 was Savage and Cook Rye.
Correct. I'm asking what you guessed, not what
I
you
guess
know now.
Savage and Cook Rye, but it's 2 bar.
It is 2 bar. You had those 2 flipped?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what'd you rank it as?
Number 2.
Number 2.
So Savage and Cook Rye was my number 1 ranked. 2 bar Bottle and Bond bourbon.
What was your number 2?
Was my number 2. My number 3, I did get right, was Savage and Cook's bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 was the Uncle Nearest Rye, which I didn't get. It wasn't Uncle Nearest Rye. I was right. It was Uncle Nearest. It just was their 1856.
Your number 4?
No,
Savage
that's
and
my
Cook
4th
bourbon.
ranked.
Okay.
My number 2 bourbon was the second bourbon I had.
Yeah.
So that leaves the Uncle Nearest Rye for number 7.
Correct.
And I ranked that 6.
6. Mine I had as 2 bar. That's not correct. So it must be Savage and Cook Rye.
Yeah.
Which I ranked number 1.
Number 1.
Which
was my number 1.
Your number 1. Very interesting.
That is
Savage
interesting.
and Cook Rye has taken down the 100 proof whiskeys. Wait till
As
we
our
tell
number
Dylan.
1. This is fun doing it blind.
Yeah, we need to do more blind tastings, even if it's just one of us or the other doing a
Yes.
blind tasting.
I kind of cheated Because when I poured
No wonder
yours,
you got these
you're
right.
colorblind. You're colorblind. When I poured these, Uncle Nearest, both of the Uncle Nearest ones were lighter. However, based on the flavor profiles of the other whiskeys, I still would have pegged those for
Yeah.
Uncle Nearest.
Okay.
Because 2 Bar was, to me, was just very distinct, even though I mixed it with the Savage and Cook. And then Bottle and Bond, Foundry's Bottle and Bond, I picked that up right away as theirs.
Yeah.
I picked the Savage and Cook's bourbon. I picked that out right away. And the Texas Rye.
Yeah. I think your mom's talking to you.
How dare
because
you?
you said you cheated?
No, I just
Weasel.
I could tell the color difference in the whiskey for
All
the
right.
brand.
Run down before we get out of here. Run down your 1 through 7 again, in order of how you
Of
picked
my
them.
taste.
Yeah.
Of how I picked them from blind taste.
Yes.
Number 1,
Mhm.
Savage and Cook Rye.
Do you have them marked properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 2 was 2 Bars, Bottle and Bond bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 for me was Savage and Cook's bourbon. Number 4 was Uncle Nearest 1856.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 was Balcones Texas Rye.
Yep.
Number 6 was Uncle Nearest Rye.
Mhm.
And 7 was the Bottle and Bond American malt whiskey, the collab with Boulevard and Foundry.
Yeah. All right. Mine in order. Number 1, Savage and Cook Rye. Number 2, Balcones Texas Rye. Number 3, Savage and Cook Bourbon. Number 4, Uncle Nearest Rye. Number 5, Foundry. Number 6, Uncle Nearest 1856. And number 7, disappointed I picked it at 7. Granted, we like all of these. This isn't to say that any of them are bad by any means, but 2 Bar Bottled and Bond, which I was blown away by when I first tasted it because I really enjoy it. So the fact that it was 7 is surprising to me. But like we just told Colby, there are different days. You like different things.
It's a mood, and I am a
Tomorrow I
firm
might pick these completely
believer in that
different.
you should not try multiple whiskeys together because
Yeah,
the taste,
it throws it,
I
for
kept
sure.
going back and forth between them before I pegged like, okay, I think this is this.
Yeah.
And then after I had to identify them first. I was just on a mission to identify them. And then I like thought about it afterwards. I went back and tasted
Yeah.
different ones. I was like, oh, this is good. This is hitting the spot.
Yeah.
But when you get that many whiskeys, like when
Yeah.
we do a flight of whiskeys, it's like 4 to 5.
Yeah.
That's like the top you should do.
The max.
The
Yeah.
max.
Not like 20 like Josh and I have done before.
That's ridiculous. You're not even tasting the whiskey.
No,
that
but
you're
we were
supposed to
having
taste.
fun,
I
that's
know.
for
You're
sure.
having fun. Overboard, but having fun.
Thank you to all our guests.
Yes,
We had
thank
a-
you
We had a great time
so much.
with this 100th episode party. We're going to be back next week with Rod and Cody to talk NASCAR gambling and fantasy football. We're going to be back in potentially 2 weeks with a distiller guest. We're waiting to hear on that. In 3 weeks, it'll be Scotch.
We still have to go shopping for scotch.
I know. We're going to be recapping the fantasy football season. We're going to do some specific look and dive into some prize picks. Now that it's playoffs, you want to keep playing fantasy football, and you can. That's essentially what prize picks is. It's fantasy projections, and you're picking more or
Mhm.
less, or higher or lower. It's really easy. So we're gonna kind of zone in on that some. We still got content through the playoffs. We're gonna recap everything, and pretty soon we're gonna be talking the draft.
I know.
and
It doesn't
trades
end.
and free
Fantasy football
agency.
never ends. Like when we started this podcast, not 2 seasons ago, I guess.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we do this. And remember, I wasn't fully on board.
Right. Yeah.
I was talked into this. I've had a blast though, and I don't regret it whatsoever. But I was thinking, okay, I know how busy I am. This is just in season. I'm doing all this research anyway during fantasy football season, looking at the waivers. This will be fun to talk some smack with you. And at the end of the season, okay, then I'll get a break till next football season. No, it
Nope.
doesn't end.
It doesn't.
You recap your season. We go over the top 10 positions where people landed. We talk about we start strategizing really early too for the next season because you can't plan ahead too much.
I will tell you that today I went through our rosters and
Mhm.
updated them in our league and in the Rumble, and already started planning on like looking at who I may
Mhm.
contract. So absolutely agree. There's never too early to start. We're doing a dynasty draft right now. That's going to start picking up. One of the things I think would be fun to do is we're going to do some mock drafts, and whether that's
Yes.
both of us, just me, just you, whatever, we're going to have some mock drafts where if you're interested in partaking, let us know, because if you've never done auction or you just want to try to get better at auction, get more experience, we're going to be doing auction mock drafts starting soon here, because that's a great way to just kind of get prepared, see how it
Mhm.
flows, and even think about like, did I like how my team turned out? If I didn't, what do I need to do different? Am I happy with this team? If I walked away right now with this team,
Mhm.
do I like it? And things like that. So I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and before we know it, it's going to be March. We're going to be getting into the draft. The NFL draft will be just around the corner, and that brings in all kinds of conversations around rookie players coming into this
Mhm.
next season. And then I'll be prepping you for all of your drafts, going
Yeah.
through auction strategies, all of that. So
So we are going nowhere.
we're here. And all the distiller guests, like I'm so excited for this off season because we'll
Yeah.
really have time to get a lot more on our schedule, just like we did this last off season.
Put in some work this morning, actually, on a break, reaching out to some, get a feeler. And that's already getting some feelers for that. I mean, we're talking to Redwood Empire, potentially getting them on. It's not a sure thing yet, but potential thing. So if you go to a distillery, tell them, hey, we listen to this show called Old Fashioned Football. We really think you
Mhm.
guys should be on there. Talk about us to your friends, talk about us to distilleries, anywhere you think of. That means a ton to us.
It
The
does.
word of mouth referral type of stuff is huge for us. So, Miranda, we're almost 3 hours.
I know.
I think we should probably call it for our
I think
voices.
My voice, it stayed. I was
You
nervous
did,
when
yeah.
we started. I thought it was
I felt like
going.
mine was going. Maybe that's the dry air. I got it. We don't give credit enough to this, but every show at the beginning, at the end, you hear a guitar. It's a good buddy of ours, Paul Stevie, playing
Yes.
guitar. He threw that together for us. It actually not even for the show. It's something he had created. And I told him, I said, can I use this? Because it just gives the perfect vibe for a whiskey show, in my opinion. Like, it's like you're in a lounge, kind of relaxing with a cocktail. So Paul's going to take it out here. And Miranda, for the 100th time, but not the last, going once, going twice.
Sold.
Old Fashioned Football. Old Fashioned Football.